All right, man. So here we are.
What's up?
We don't really have no formal intro, you know what
Okay.
I'm saying? But if I was to start this off, I would pretty much say, um, got a special guest. It's my man Aaron Patterson. He is an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
motivational speaker,
Yep.
minister of the gospel, a father. You know what I'm saying? Um, of a Christian hip hop artist. You know what I'm saying? Like you
True.
can look
True.
him up. You can look him up. Um, and the interesting thing about your story, man, and so he's here to share his testimony with us. And what I find interesting about his testimony is a podcast that I have yet to cover with my wife, but it makes me think of the topic of, can a Christian have a demon? You know what I'm saying? Like it
That's
makes,
real.
because I feel like I feel like when you
Ooh.
came, when you came, I don't know, maybe a lot of your people had that question because you're one
I
of the
had it.
right, but you're one of the first people who he was like, "Yo, can I have some video of this? Because I need to show my peoples that this is real."
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
And for
So
myself too.
yeah, yeah. So I was just like, huh. I never like had a request.
Oh,
You know,
really?
yeah, like, people always wonder, like, are you gonna record it, or what if, if something happens and I don't remember or believe it, like, can I see it? But I never thought of someone who wanted to take it to their people so that they can say, like, look, you know me, I'm AP. I keeps it real. I'm 100. Like everybody know this is a real cat. Like I've been around long enough to know he's genuine. He's real. He's not the guy who you would look at the Deliverance videos online and be like, ah, that's fake.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He's not that guy. And I think that if you have any discernment, you can just listen to us tonight and see that he's a real guy, and he's not the guy who would even do that for money. If I had that kind of money to pay somebody to fake it. Um, and so yeah, man, that threw me off. He was just like, "Yeah, I want this," and
I
was
document everything.
yeah,
That's how I am. I'm just like, because everything for me is like, I always want to be able to look back and like, dang God, like what you did. I never want to forget. Even when I'm like feeling like, man, like God, like what's next? I always want to be able to look back and be like, oh, this is what you delivered me from. Like this is real. And even when I showed some people, they still didn't believe it. And that's when I knew like
that's wild.
they still were like they had some wild questions when they were like they asked if I was drunk. They asked like, "Hey, did he give you anything before you?" I was like, but I get it.
Yeah,
It's a lot to deal with.
yeah,
If you have the mindset a Christian can have you don't know what to do with that. You're forced to wrestle with it. But like I
yeah,
like that. Like at
yeah,
least you're wrestling versus
yeah.
being like, man, that stuff is fake online.
Well, I mean, do you think they're wrestling? I mean, do you think that's a wrestle? Because I don't know how I came across some videos today where I saw people making a biblical case that it's just not possible.
They
And
have some good cases too.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like if I brought one of them on this couch right here, I could show, like, one of his rationales was there is no condemnation for them in Jesus Christ, and I'm just
Mm.
like, come on, man. Nah, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? When you say there's no condemnation, Paul is basically saying, because the law has been fulfilled. Like, it's the law that
Mm.
brings condemnation,
Yeah.
and so that had nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? With the point you're trying to
Mm.
make. So squash that. You know what I'm saying? So I could
Yeah.
I could pretty much take those points. And another point I heard a brother use was Romans 8:38. It's on my tab right here.
That's wild.
Basically, there's nothing that can come between, the love, me and
No
the love of
angel, no
Christ. No,
demon.
yeah.
Oh,
Then they're
that
just
verse.
like,
Okay, okay.
but that doesn't mean I can't be oppressed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the argument.
because
Oppression
that's
versus possession.
yeah. So
That's the
once
big
again, it's
argument.
another. Then you have an argument: evil spirit versus demon. You know what I'm saying? I can go long. I can go
Mm.
deep. I can go long on this, but
Yeah.
um, and so with that argument, I'm kind of just like, look, there's nothing that can come between the love, because deliverance is the compassion of Jesus Christ. Whenever you hear
Mm.
Jesus delivering people, which, remember, this is what he was known for. This is why he was famous. Is because he was an exorcist. He was known for this. This is why he was
But none of
famous.
them were believers.
Exactly.
They were
And
all. They were all
so check it, check
the
it. So
Gentiles.
I'm gonna give this a little attention just
Yeah.
because it's about you tonight.
Okay, that's
Okay,
what up.
we'll make a whole separate video for that later. And I almost feel like when my man was on the wall and he was like, "I'm not coming down for y'all. Like I'm busy building this wall." That's how I feel about this
Mm,
ministry. I'm busy. Like we're changing lives with this. And
facts.
so if you ain't got it, there's a veil over your eyes, and it's not my job to worry about that.
Mm.
So what you were trying to say is that, oh, they weren't Christians.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna give this a couple minutes because I think this will be worth it. So check this out. I think a lot of people don't understand their salvation. Like I think a lot of people at a root at the bottom level do not really understand that your salvation is more than just a one-way ticket to heaven. Because I think that that's what they believe. I think they believe that through the blood they're just justified, and they don't believe in the sanctification process.
Mm.
But when you say that, oh, those people weren't Christians, I don't think you understand what happened and what Jesus did for us. And I could break out, the word right now, but I hope that you know enough for me to share with what I want to share. But understand this: the Bible speaks about Abraham being the father of the faith and him being righteous by his faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he speaks about, the Bible speaks about Jesus being the child or being that son to come from Abraham. He's
Mm.
speaking about Jesus, right? And so when we accept Christ into our lives, we become sons, right? And so that's what Paul is talking about when he says we are grafted in to this tree.
Mm.
It's the tree of Abraham. So
Mm.
it's not that we're Christians, it's that we are spiritual rooted in Abraham now. And so because we're righteous through Abraham's seed, we have these rights and privileges. And one of those is to not be able to, these demons don't have right on me. They don't have a right. And so I can use the story of the woman who was bent over double for 18 years. There was a demon that was in her back and it was causing her to be bent over double. Like bent over double means your chest is literally parallel to the floor. That's
Oh
how
dang.
she was literally bent over. You've
Woo.
probably seen someone with back issues and they were kind of bent. She was
I'm picturing
literally
it.
bent over double. And it said
Yeah.
for
Wow.
18 years. And it said it was a demon that was causing it, right? So Jesus says, woman, that you're loose from this demon. Like he delivered her. Well, they were mad that he did it on the Sabbath. They were mad at a lot of stuff he did on the Sabbath. But what Jesus did, he didn't defend the Sabbath thing. He defended the fact of her lineage. He said, this is a daughter of Abraham.
Mm.
And he was just like, she's got a right to be free. This demon's been oppressing, or whatever you want to call it. This demon's been having her back out for 18 years straight. This is when he says, like, most of y'all on the Sabbath, you guys would take your donkey and get him some drink or pull him out of a ditch. That's that story. And so he used her lineage to say, because she's a daughter of Abraham, this demon has no right. And so he made a case in front of the Pharisees, which he's pretty much in court because the Pharisees were lawyers. And he's basically saying that because she's a daughter of Abraham, she has the right to this freedom.
Dang.
And so think about this. Because I'm Christian, I am spiritually connected to Abraham now. So she actually is more Christian than me because she's actually a daughter of Abraham. I'm grafted into the tree.
Mm.
And so to say, oh, these people aren't Christian, well, they're still seed of Abraham, and they have certain rights and inheritance that we now get to participate in. And
That's
so
good.
I'm kind of like a stepchild in some ways. Like who do you think you are? Like to say that she's not and I am, when the truth is that I'm grafted in and I'm spiritually connected through Jesus Christ. And so that's why he came through the seed of Abraham.
That's good.
It's so that he can connect us to Abraham's blessing. And so
Wow.
these same people don't believe in curses and blessings. Well, they don't believe in curses.
I had someone call me the other day and try to check me on that
But
too.
check this. What's the point? What is an inheritance? It's a blessing. You can't believe in blessings and not curses. Like they're pretty much the same thing. It's just one is negative and one is positive. And
Mm.
so when we when we sign up for Team Jesus, when we give our lives to Christ, we not only connect to the spiritual heritage, but we get an inheritance that comes with that. And that's when God said that Abraham would be a blessing to many nations. Like that's it. Like it's the blessing. And so we're
Mm.
blessed through Abraham. So that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't just want the good and not the bad. Like there's curses as well as blessings. The curse of Adam, we're all born into that. That's why everyone that is born is doomed to die. That's why everyone born is going to hell until they give their life to Christ, until they
Is it
sign
like
up.
painful childbirth a curse too?
Right, that's a curse.
Yeah.
And so it's just like we could go all day
I
with
think it's
that.
the language that gets people.
I don't
Like
know.
demon
I
and curse.
yeah,
It scared people.
but truth is, okay.
So I've been saying spirit lately.
But you know
I'm
what?
like, because anger is a spirit. You believe in anger? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, see, you
I'm
trying to
saying,
sell it though.
you right.
And so I think that I
I
think
am.
that
I ain't gonna lie.
I think there's a veil over the eyes.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
a veil.
For
And
sure.
until Holy Spirit removes that, they're just blind and to it. And they're not going to see it. And so I can sell it. And I know how to sell it. I've been doing it. It's we could go all day and people don't want to accept it. And I don't understand, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so much. The Bible is so rich with evidence.
But part of me gets it though, because a lot of people that I know that don't agree with it, they're really big on theology, and I love theology too. But it's more like they read their word, they're
Right.
disciplined. A lot of people I know that.
Religious. The Pharisees
I
were big on
mean,
theology.
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? But they didn't see spiritually.
Well, I would say they're judges because I got homies who like they believe in prayer at all like that, but when it comes to the demon part, they just like I have the Holy Spirit, so there's no way demons there too.
Right. But I'm
It's
saying you
like
can't see spiritually if even if you think that way, because it's almost as if you think there's a soul realm and then there's a spirit realm. And so you kind of think that they can't coexist. The truth is that they're right. They can't coexist because they're in totally different dimensions. And so the demon and the spirits, they're in totally the demon and or the spirit, they're in a separate dimension
the Holy Spirit. You're
from the
saying.
Holy Spirit. Like they can't coexist. And so just to not even have that
Mm.
understanding to know that there's different dimensions, that shows that you might have biblical knowledge, but you don't really have spiritual sight. Like you're not seeing how things actually work in the realm of the spirit.
That's real.
And so that's very real. And so there's just a lot that I can't shove down someone's throat because unless their eyes are opened, they're not going to be able to see it, you
Mhm.
know. And so I'd rather just continue to
Do
to
what you do.
do what God has commissioned us to do. He said, heal the sick, cast out demons, raise the dead. Like those are his final words. Think about that. Those were his last words before he left. He
But for
said,
the
cast out demons.
heal the sick.
Who is he supposed to do that to if he said that deliverance is the children's bread? He said, deliverance is the children's bread. He was very clear that this is for God's children. And so if he's saying, cast out demons, heal the sick, raise the dead, and the people that have the issue with deliverance, they're not casting out demons, they're not healing the sick, nor are they raising the dead. Most of these people don't really even believe that Jesus still heals today. They don't really connect and believe in healings, miracles, signs, and wonders. They're not experiencing these things. They're not in those environments to where the supernatural is a part of their life. And so what's interesting is that if you don't believe in that stuff, are you a believer?
I always say, because for me, part of me, I see both worlds. I get it. Because when I be on YouTube, these dudes do look crazy out there. I ain't gonna lie.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it does look fabricated.
But I
A
mean,
lot of it does. So I can understand it
but
being
who are you
like,
to say whether it is or isn't? And it's not my
because
job to judge it.
I be testing the spirit.
Okay.
So I could tell when I see like you, it's just like when people just doing too much. I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
no
yeah,
names,
yeah.
but you probably seen some people on
Yeah,
there.
for
I'm
sure.
not gonna say no names, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, hallelujah, praise God. Other times I'm like,
And
so
that's
it's like,
fine. That's
I'm
fine.
always like, but I'm open to everything. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
too open, but I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's why when I found you, I was just going through all the people. I was just vet. I'm like, okay, they cool, they cool. So it's like I'm super open,
Yeah.
and I was open to having a demon. I'm like, if I got one, I know I'm saved, but like, because you can't tell me that, because I know who I used to be. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm like, I have no shame. Be like, you had a demon? All
Yeah.
right, like,
Yeah.
and I love Jesus
Yeah.
because I know who I used to be, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not trying to front like I'm something. Like
Yeah.
I just know my walk with God.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I do feel like there's things outside of me that are getting in the way, and I couldn't explain it. But
And
then when I got delivered, I was like, it makes
ah,
sense.
yeah. And so that's the thing is that and I'll leave it at that. This is why Paul was so into demonstration power. He was like, the
Mm,
kingdom is not in word. And I feel like those theologians, those people that are so biblically astute, they're just word. But
facts.
he's like, the kingdom of God is not in word, it's in power. And so when you
Mm,
demonstrate power, you can connect the word to experience and it becomes real. And then the heart can be converted. If someone is just being convinced, they're not being converted, they're being convinced. And that's why
mm.
power and demonstration was always part of the gospel. Always. And so we don't do that, or a lot of churches don't do that. And so
No.
that's you have cessationists, people that don't believe that that stuff is real still. And so to me, they don't believe. They're not believing. And so they might
Mm.
believe uh, in in the Christ, but it says these signs follow them that believe. And so if those signs aren't following you, then like this is the definition of the
What you
believer.
got going on there?
Yeah, and so you know,
That's real.
anyways, I think that you coming in here, I guess skeptical but also open, um, was a blessing because you opened the door for quite a few people to come through.
Bad people
You
came through
sent
after.
mad people. Like I would say since I've been here for a year and a half now, and I would say there's maybe one other person who has sent as many people as you have that came in and said, "Oh, AP sent me." You know what I'm saying? So like
I was screaming for the
I kind of
rooftops, like, "Hey, bro, guess what just happened?"
yeah, yeah. And I wanted to I envied you because to have experienced this and to be able to have the influence to share it with that many people to where now this many of my friends are healed and delivered. Like that's got to be a blessing and like that's why I'm interested in knowing your story. I want to know who AP was before Deliverance, who AP is now, but also like how it's affected your life to also have like your crew delivered. Like I see your closest friends healed
Bruh,
and delivered. I seen them all minister and worship, and
bruh.
like it's amazing to see that these are the things that's why you can't demonize deliverance. Like you just can't. It doesn't make it. I just have to ignore you because of what I've seen and how it's changed lives, and it's testimonies that really validate this stuff, and that's why I really wanted you to come and because you're also someone who is a speaker and who knows how to communicate. I thought it would be very powerful for you to come in and tell your story, and I thought it was powerful that you're someone of credibility who's real, and you'd make a good case because I believe that even before coming to deliverance, you were a man of God too, and you had a mission, and you was breaking the cycles, and you was still doing your thing,
Yeah.
even with the resistance and stuff. And so
That's the
we
scarier part for
we
me,
see
though.
men of God all the time. We see pastors, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? But they're usually not as open to giving their testimony publicly, and I get that. You know what I'm saying? I respect that, but at least they were open to receiving freedom.
That's real.
I thought it was very impressive that they were willing to come and receive freedom because a pastor might not be able to make himself vulnerable to his members. You know
Mm.
what I'm
And
saying?
I
But
get it.
but his story is usually no different than yours or anybody else's.
Yeah.
The things he struggled with, no different than anybody else's. He just has a different responsibility. So we're basically talking about how your experience still isn't enough for other people to receive it and to accept what happened to you and for you. And so it's interesting because I was saying that that's essentially why Paul pushed demonstration so hard. Because
Mm.
you have to experience it for yourself to truly believe, to truly Holy Spirit has to be involved for you to truly have your heart softened and your eyes open. And so what's interesting to me is this is why there's a veil over the eyes. Think about this. Why it's in Satan's best interest for people to not believe. It's in Satan's best interest for people to have negative to say about deliverance or to not believe. It's only in Satan's best interest. So think about that. What
Mm.
happens, and I want you to think about this, what happened to you in your experience. And it's interesting because this would be a good point to put up on the screen a clip or whatever,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like to be like, huh, you know, I don't have the technology to do that, but in the editing process, I can just do something like that. But what happened in that room that night is spiritual warfare came out to play in front of your very eyes. The thing that most of these people aren't aware of and don't understand is happening, whether they believe or not, became it came into this dimension.
Mm.
And so spiritual warfare, the thing that the devil doesn't want you to understand and realize is happening, it becomes exposed. A wool is pulled from over your eyes, and you're able to see that there is a battle between two kingdoms. There is a kingdom of darkness. There is a kingdom of light.
Mm.
And you actually, everyone in the room witnesses one thing that the devil would not want to be exposed, and that is that the kingdom of darkness is significantly inferior to the kingdom of light.
Mm.
Not I actually sized you up and I was like, this dude is strong. And your demons was like, "Rrr." You know what I'm saying?
Fat
And
no.
so for me, you in my house, and I'm just like, Lord, you know, like Holy Spirit gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna have to move in our authority here because
That's real.
if you became that guy who could probably throw me through a wall, um, like Lord, I need you.
That's real though.
Like that's what happened. And so spiritual warfare is played out. It becomes deliverance is a stage for spiritual warfare, and everyone in the room is witnessing what happens. And so the fact that you were formidable and you were strong and fit and big, um, but at no point in that night was this was the kingdom of darkness in contention with me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like when I spoke and I took authority, the demons bow down.
Mm.
There was never a moment that we weren't winning. There was never a moment that we weren't taking authority and they weren't listening to us. And so if you see
That's so
that
real.
and you spend a whole night with us seeing us take authority over the demonic and you seeing that they have no say and they have no rights and they have to bow down to the name of Jesus, you walk out of there with a different perspective and perception. You walk out of there with a whole nother perspective and maybe, well, not maybe, you have so much less fear
Oh, facts.
of this kingdom. And so it is in the devil's best interest for people not to experience this, even to just believe in it, to even spend time watching something like this and to see it play out like this. It would just be, it's his number one. It's just his it's just something he does not want you to see. And so that's why there's so much false doctrine. There's so much deception about deliverance is because it's just not in his best interest for it to be exposed like that. So he hates it when we post videos. He hates it when we tell our testimony about it. He hates it when we share scripture about how this stuff is real and it's legit, and every Friday night this is what we do. And so he hates
Mm.
it that you're here right now. He hates it
That's why he
that
messed up the car.
yeah, yeah. He hates it that you're credible,
Mm.
that you have reputation, that you have a following, that you're someone that people listen to. And
Mm.
so because you have influence and you can actually speak about what the Lord did for you in deliverance and how it's changed your life and the lives of your family and friends, you're just about to cause so much damage to the kingdom. And I want you to know that before you go into
Mm.
this. I want you to understand that you're causing mad, crazy damage, and what you post online is always there, and it will be there forever. And so this video and your testimony, you'll be planting seeds and causing damage to the kingdom of darkness forever. And so I want you to take that seriously as you think about the words you're going to speak, and what you want to share, and the things you might think you don't want to share. Like, understand that this is an attack. Like, we're going on the offensive right now.
Mm.
This is warfare too. You know what I'm saying? And so start where you want to start. But I just want you to give us a full picture of, like I said, I want to know, you know, who you were before,
Mm.
how you figured it out, how you came into the knowledge of it, where's your life now because of it. Um, Tell us about your family and friends, and just share your story. And I think that in your story, you can debunk a lot of things as far as understanding that, yeah, I was a believer and I was saved before I came here. Like, let's not get it twisted. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was sold out for Jesus.
Yeah.
Sold
Yeah.
out.
Tell us your story, man.
So, quick little brief overview. So, originally I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. So I grew up in, I said Christian household. My mom, I grew up seeing her blowing shofars, running around the pews.
Mm.
She was watching Benny Hinn and stuff like that. So I grew up seeing it.
Yeah.
So that's why, fast forward to now, I'm pretty much open to anything because I grew up seeing my mom in those environments. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't understand it, but I witnessed it. I remember just seeing people laid out on the ground and they put blankets over them and stuff like that. So I seen it. My dad, he was really big into the word. So I don't really see that demonstrated with him, but him and my mom growing up, they had like a lot of friction. So the only man I seen that believed in God that was close to me was my dad, and we were at odds a lot. So to me, Christian meant uh it was women, corny, white people are weird. It was like that's just what I looked. That's what I when I thought of Christian.
Wow.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I can't really relate to this like that. So I always knew God was real, but he
Yeah.
seemed like this distant figure in the sky
Yeah.
that like sends people to hell. So that's kind of my knowledge of it. Was like, okay, I know he's real because my mom always talks about him, and I know she loved the Lord and she sold out. And so growing up, I was open to it. Uh, so I was the type of guy when I got to high school and I was in the world, I'd be in the middle of blunt rotations preaching and be like, I don't know what I'm preaching. I'd be like, yo, you know God loves you, right, bro? Like, you know he real. And I was just like that. I don't even know what I was, but there was something in me that wanted to preach
Mm.
so much to when I remember I would get high and sit in my car for hours and I would just preach. And I'm mad because I have recordings on my old phone. I used to record myself. I
Mm.
remember this one night I preached for 3 hours straight to myself.
Mm.
So I don't know what was coming out. I would get high and God would like speak to me.
Mm.
I remember a moment I looked in the mirror and I heard God say, "You're a king. What are you doing?" And I sobered up in the highlight. So God has been pursuing me.
Wait, you your high like vanished
It
when you heard
vanished.
that word.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom. I peed. I washed my hands. I looked in. I know I don't talk to myself like that, but at this point, I didn't have a framework. I didn't have a language for it. I just knew. I looked myself in the eye and I heard, "You're a king. What are you doing?" I was like, "What the?"
You know what's
It
crazy?
just I just sobered up, bro. And I
See,
was like,
I don't want to interrupt your story and your flow,
"No, go
but
ahead."
you're the first person that's ever shared that with me because that happened to me.
For real?
When
When
I
you was in
was
the world, or
when
like lukewarm
I
kind
was
of.
yeah, obviously you lukewarm, you smoking weed.
Oh yeah.
But this was my last my actually I had decided I was giving it up already, but I had decided that I missed that high and I was gonna have an edible. And if you know anything
Mm.
about edibles, the high is 10 times stronger and longer. Like you could be high on an edible for 3 hours straight and there's nothing you can do. Seriously.
Take you over.
Yeah. And so what happened to me is that happened to me, but with an edible. And so
Mm.
I was actually about to take off. Like it was getting in there
For
into
real.
that space where you need to just be where you're gonna be. Like because you know you can't drive. Like it's on that level. Like it
I
was
feel
on that
that.
level, right? And so I actually I heard, I basically heard the voices and I was getting rebuked and lovingly and it's a whole story. But what happened was I had this vision of like this stereo system and there was this main controller knob and it said intensity and the knob went turned all the way down. And that's essentially
Sheesh.
what happens when you're high is all your senses are peaking. That's
Mm.
why, things feel different, things taste different, things sound different,
When
it's
you're high.
because, yeah. And
Okay.
so once this intensity nozzle went all the way down, my high just immediately left. And
Zap.
that was the last time I was ever high. But I went into my bedroom and I told my wife, I said, look at my hand. And she knew what I had just done. Like she knew my
Uh.
hand, she knew I was supposed to be out of here. And so she understood, like,
Oh
how are
dang.
you sober right now?
Mm.
Like I was like, like the Lord just turned it off. Like from that moment forward, like there's never, yeah, I've never, no high, no drinking, no nothing since that moment. But
Mm.
the high, it's like it's almost like the high was a spirit, and he just took it out of me, and then the high was gone immediately.
That's
I
so
was
crazy.
sobered immediately, and there's no way that wasn't supernatural. If you
Facts.
know anything about when you just starting to take off with an edible. And so I
Mm.
might have been 45 minutes to an hour into it and it just immediately vanished
That's crazy.
and I was healed and delivered from it from that moment.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so you're the first person to
Shit.
ever tell me
Oh really?
that you also had just immediately lost your high.
I was tweaking. I'm like, yo, what is going on? But
That's supernatural for sure.
it was
Yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah.
So for me, it's crazy because as I look back on my life, God's been after me my whole life, but so is the enemy. Like I
Absolutely.
can equally see God's hand, but also like how he's tried to take me out so many times. I'm talking about I'm driving on the highway, I'm hearing voices like, just crash the car. Like my and this is stuff that I don't have language for. It's just like, why every time I'm on the highway, I keep hearing this voice. Like, just crash the like I remember ninth grade being so depressed, I think about ways to end it and stuff like that when I'm at the house by myself. And because where I'm at right now, I'm like, man, God had a specific plan for me because the enemy been after me. I had mental health problems, whatever you want to call them, as long as I can remember. But I always felt this sense of purpose. I couldn't explain it. I always felt like I wasn't better than people, but like there was a special calling on my
You
life.
knew you were chosen.
Like I just always felt it. I couldn't
Yeah.
explain it though.
Yeah.
Even when I was in third, fourth grade, I was
Yeah.
writing raps. Even when I was younger, I was always like, yeah, I felt this sense of like I'm meant to do something.
Yeah. And you were.
I just
Right.
didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I always held on to that. I didn't know where I was going, but you ask anyone since third grade, I've been somewhat dream chasing. I
Yeah.
started rapping in third grade.
Yeah.
So I was rapping all through middle school. I was playing sports. In high school, I was freestyling. I was always just kind of everywhere I went, I became popular, like instantly, and people would just gravitate towards me. But I found my identity in that because Lecrae says all the time, I love this. He says, if you live for acceptance, you'll die from rejection. But because of my daddy issues with feeling rejected by my dad, I lived for the acceptance of people. Like I lived for it. I craved it. I would do anything for a laugh. I'd do anything for you to accept me. So yeah, I craved it because I just wanted to feel that type of love. So I'm doing this. I'm getting into crime, drugs, all that type of stuff. I'm just trying to live a rapper lifestyle and do what I think a black person's supposed to do, honestly. So I'm doing all that stuff, but I always felt empty. And I always felt like I'm around all these people, but I know I'm not like them. I just always had, even when I was knee deep in the world, I always had this little thing in the back of my mind, like, Aaron, you're better than this. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's my mother's prayers.
Yeah.
I know it was God's hand in my mother's prayers. So I got in trouble, but I never got in so much trouble where it was irreversible.
Right.
It was like I've been arrested, fights, all that type of stuff, pulled over by cops, and it was just like I always went enough to stop. But then I was doing the music thing, and I ended up opening for Kendrick Lamar in front of like 8,000 people. And I thought that was the point I was finally gonna feel like fully accepted.
Yeah.
And I remember I got off stage. There was a groupie on me on the left, a groupie on the right, and I was like, I remember in that moment I was high, all that, and I was like, yo, what am I doing in my life?
Wow.
Like I remember I was always just I couldn't even enjoy my high. I was kind of
Wow.
like because my brain's just like thinking about
Yeah.
the meaning of life. I'm
What am I
always
doing?
I'm with my they'd be like, yo, Aaron, just pass the blunt, bro. You just always talk. Yo, why we here, y'all? I was always that guy. Like, what are we actually doing with our life?
Yeah.
And that would annoy people because they were like, they weren't on that type of wavelength. And so I was doing that, and then I felt drawn to go back to church. So I was still sleeping around, still smoking, but I was going back to church. And I would sit at the back pew, like the last row. And the moment they start playing the piano, like if everybody wants to give their life to Christ, I would just leave. I did that for about a year and a half straight. I'll go to church, sit in the back. I was still smoking, sleeping around, but I felt I was changing.
Yeah.
It was really slow, but something was pulling towards me. I didn't have any Christian friends though, because all my friends was ratchet.
Yeah.
So I didn't have another person my age that I could talk to bounce my ideas off of. And at that same time, I'll tell the story now. I never told the story on camera, but I feel like the devil tried to get me to sell my soul. It's
Yeah. Tell me that.
Did I tell you the story?
You told me this during Deliverance.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. This is a powerful one.
Oh,
Share that.
I was just high, and it was a beat playing, and this beat was like the most fire beat, and I swear this beat put me in a trance. So it's 3 a.m. in the back room of my house, and I remember losing control of my body, and I ended up on my knees, and I couldn't move. I was on my knees. I couldn't move. As I'm sitting there, my head, and it's crazy because I can remember it all. I couldn't move. I just feel my head doing like this, and as my eyes are closed, everything is flashing through my mind. Money, women, like mansions, cars. And prior to this, I had been rapping when I was high, and I was freestyling for 10 minutes straight. Probably the most fire stuff I've ever rapped my entire life. Like I was like, yo, where's this coming from? And as I was doing that, I heard a voice say, just keep smoking and worship me, and you can get all this type of stuff. It was just flashing through my brain. And then I think I've been watching something before. I don't know, on YouTube, and some guy was talking about demons, and he just said, Jesus is Lord. Just say Jesus. So somehow I knew to say Jesus. I don't know why, but I was like, Jesus. And I felt the thing goes, and I was like, what the? So I go,
Hey, let me just stop you right there,
bro,
though.
I was like, what?
Yo, you know what's powerful about that
I was
is
like,
that
yo.
what's powerful about that is that I see so much debate on the internet about, oh, that ain't really his name, or his real name is
It's
Yeshua, and or the Jewish, that's not the real interpretation, and this ain't that. You know what? Fine. I just know that the demons know that
They know
when you
that
say Jesus, they respect it.
They flee.
That, so clearly if you on that intellectual stuff, clearly you're not using his name for what it's been, what it's meant to.
Hamyak.
Yeah, you can, and they recognize that name too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I know that when I use the name Jesus, it works just fine. So I think that that's just a distraction
Facts.
for us to not use the name. So I think it's demonic, the argument itself. I think it's a distraction to get us from using the name Jesus, because
That's
the
real.
devil doesn't want you to use it. He hates it. He hates it. I use it,
That
and
makes
that's
sense.
the only name I use. And that's the only name I've been using for hundreds of deliverances. And it works every time. And so that argument is demonic. I don't care how intellectual you are. Clearly, you don't fight you don't function in this realm of spiritual warfare. You're an intellectual, and that is a spirit too.
Dang.
That's a spirit. You know what I'm saying? And so it's most of these distractions are if you can look at the distraction and say, is this in favor of the kingdom of darkness? Then you know that's what it is.
That's so good.
That does nothing for us.
Nothing.
You arguing that point, it does nothing for the
it's
believer.
good. It's cool for debate, but
It's not. It's a distraction from
That's
the
real, though.
devil. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how smart you think you are, how much you think you know. You clearly are not fighting spiritual warfare. You clearly are just a brainiac. And you are ineffective, and you are not functioning in the army of the Lord.
You a brainiac.
Telling you to your face.
That's
It's just
real.
what it is. It's a demonic argument. It's a waste of my time. I use Jesus' name, and it works. And that's why we're sitting here. I didn't use any other name.
That's your army.
You know what I'm saying?
I gotta be more like you. I be giving people too much time. I'll be like, because I guess for me, like you said, maybe I'm trying to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, when I have my kiosk at Cumberland Mall, I'll sit there for an hour and talk to a Hebrew Israelite. I'm like, I'd be like, I lost out some bread.
What's crazy about that is, and I'm not disrespecting or saying that about that person you were talking to,
yeah.
but a lot of the arguments that you get yourself into that are not productive because there's a veil over that person's eyes. When I say there's a veil, that means there's a spirit that is keeping that person from seeing. And so there's also an argument saying that you can't speak to demons. That's a dumb argument too. But the truth is that when you're having that argument, you're talking to a demon. That person, they think that's their thoughts, and they think that that's their intelligence. They think they're the one speaking, when the truth is that most of the stuff they're spewing is demonic. And there's a spirit whispering to them in that moment, and they have no idea because they're unaware of how it works. They're unaware that those are not their thoughts because they haven't considered that they could be hearing from a spirit because they don't believe in that. And so they're the perfect targets for the demonic to speak through. And so you're speaking to a demon just by having that argument with someone.
I didn't look at it like that, I ain't gonna lie.
They think that speaking to a demon is like, I am Legion. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be like, rah. No, man, the demon is
to the pigs.
No, the Bible says that Satan comes as an angel of light. If he comes with horns and a red suit or whatever, you're gonna know it's him.
That's real.
And so most of the time, he's just gonna have you question, is that God? That's what he did with Adam and Eve. That's his original.
That's so real.
That's how he did it. Like, he just makes you question God, if God said that or if that's God. And so most people who question deliverance, they're basically, you know how the Bible says, woe unto them who call evil good and good evil. Like, you're essentially calling something good evil, and you're calling a move of God evil. And he's saying, woe unto you. Like, be careful. And so it's not my job to save you from that woe, but be careful, because that's blasphemy. Like, when you see a move of the Holy Spirit and you're like, that's demonic. Like, be careful, bro. Be careful. Like, I might as well, you should just don't say nothing.
Keep your opinions.
Just don't say nothing, because woe unto you. But don't let me take what, you know, this is you, man. I want to hear your story.
No,
Keep going.
So yeah, I said, Jesus, it fleed. I ran. I turned on the light. I deleted the beat off my Mac.
You deleted the beat?
I deleted the beat.
The beat was demonic.
I'm like, I didn't know what to think. I was like, I deleted the beat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm shook for like a week. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, bro, cause I got no one to talk to. I'm like, who can I tell this to?
You can probably tell any rapper.
Right? I was like, I could tell my mom, but then I
Yeah.
gotta tell her I was getting high. I'm like, I can't tell my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I got no friends, so I just kept it in. And I was like, so after a week, I subsided, but I went back to smoking. So I just went back to my regular life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then God just really got a hold of me. I came to Atlanta. You heard of D1, I'm assuming? D1?
Yeah.
At this time, I was like, I need new rap. So I saw D1 on World Star. He had dissed Jay-Z and Lil Wayne. And I saw his video on World Star. I'm like, yo, who's the dude dissing Jay-Z?
Yeah.
I was like, he kind of fire. So I followed him on Instagram. It's the only Christian rapper I ever heard of. I heard of him and Bizzle. And I was like,
Bizzle's my guy.
Bizzle?
Shout out to Bizzle. I don't know him. but
Yeah,
like
he thorough.
he's probably my favorite Christian hip hop artist.
Yeah, so I found both them on World Star.
Yeah.
So I followed him on Instagram. I know a Christian rap was a thing. So I come to Atlanta because my brother was playing football. He was trying out for a UFL team that are trying in Atlanta. He's like, come with me and film it. So I came. He was like, a free trip. We came here. We were clubbing, chilling, smoking, drinking. Well, we came here. But D1 posted he had a concert at the Atlanta Dream Center.
Okay.
And City Takers was having an event with D1. So I go to the concert and I walk in the room and it's nothing but black and Spanish people, couple white people, all dressed like me, talk like me, walk like me, and they're praising Jesus. And I was like, where am I?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could do this. Like everything I seen for 25 years up to this,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, but this? I was like, oh, this is. So I was like, oh, this is. They all love. They saying Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. They turn up for Jesus, and it's like, I was like, okay, this is fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the altar, got prayed for. I had a moment, and as I was leaving, I heard a voice go, "Pick up the flyer," and I was like, "The heck?" Like I just graduated from college, and I'm like, "Why would I pick up this flyer?" But when I opened up the flyer, it said we send people to Africa on missions trips. And 2 weeks prior to that, I was up in my room, high in the back. I was always just high late at night, and I saw an infomercial for like kids that were poor in Africa. Like, no, send $5 for a kid in Africa. And I was like, y'all want to go to Africa one day? Help my people. Go back to the motherland. So just a seed was planted in my mind. I want to go to Africa. So when I saw the flyer, it said we send people to Africa, and I was like, oh dang. I pick up the flyer. I go home. For 9 months straight, I don't even look at the flyer. I put it in my desk in my little office. There was a moment where all my stuff stopped working. My Pro Tools didn't work. My Adobe Premiere stopped working. My microphone stopped working. Literally everything that I used.
That's the devil.
Yeah, everything I used to to put for my rap career stopped working.
Yeah.
And something said to read my Bible. So I deleted all my apps off my phone. I'm like, yo, I think God might be trying to talk to me because nothing working. So I deleted all my apps, open up the Bible at Genesis. And I was like, yo, this mug is a movie. Because I never read the Bible up until this point. I heard the stories of Noah and Moses, but I never actually opened the Bible and read it for myself in 26 years.
So the Lord shut everything down.
He shut it
it all down.
Because he knew I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
He gotta
programs down.
He gotta shut everything down. So he shut it down, and I was like, yo, this is a movie. I'm reading the Old Testament like it's a movie. And then that month I was fasting, social media and that, I heard a voice again go, open the flyer again. So open the flyer again with whole new eyes. And I was like, and it said like, come hang out with us. So it said that they had a thing called Campus Days at the school, Atlanta School of Ministry. So I text the guy like, hey, I'm interested to come to Atlanta. At this point, I think I'm smart. I want to move to Atlanta for music. So in the back of my brain, I was like, yo, I'm trying to move to Atlanta. I'm trying to club, do some music stuff. And the guy was like, come down to Atlanta. So I hit him up, and then I was like, why'd I do that? I don't want to go to Christian college, bro. I ain't trying to go. Like, that's weird. That's corny. The dude calls me for a month straight to try to get me to come to the school. And I don't pick up. So I'm talking to my mom one day. I'm like, yeah, this guy keep calling me, Mom. He won't leave me alone. She's like, be a man of integrity. Call him back and let him know you're not interested. I was like, I bet. So I call him back. This dude starts prophesying over me for 3 hours straight on the phone.
Wow.
Just reading my mail. They didn't even know me. He just prophesied reading my mail. He's like, Aaron, I really feel like God wants you in Atlanta. If you have money, just get a plane ticket here. Come hang out with us for a weekend. No strings attached. We do ministry. Just come do life with us for a weekend. I'm like, bet I can go to Atlanta, visit my homie, record some music.
Yeah.
So in my brain, I'm like, oh, I'm going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I get to Atlanta. I smoke. My homie picks me up. I smoke on the way to the dorms at the Christian college. Cause I'm just like, so I'm nervous. Like they go smell me. I'm like, oh, so I'm spraying my Axe spray. So I get there, and that weekend, God rocks me, bro. I'm like, I'm going to hell. I'm in a worship service. He literally flashbacks as I close my eyes. He's showing me every single time he spared me. Been in a car accident, came out without a scratch. Pulled over with bunch of weed. The cop lets me go. Like walking in the street, should have got hit by a freight truck, and heard a voice whisper to me, back up. This is all in the world. drunk high moments. I'm literally walking in the road, leaving the bar, 1 a.m., and I hear a voice go back up. It's a really small, still voice. And I back up, and a freight truck speeds by me. And he just kept replaying, like, bro,
Mm.
when are you gonna? Are you done running? Like, bro, I'm getting tired. I've been having to spare you time and time again, and it hit me like, Aaron, like, it's time. Like, you've tried everything else. You've slept around. You popped the pills. You
Yeah.
like, when are you done? Like, you're experiencing something real here. So then I feel like I gave my life to the Lord for real, at that campus days, and I was still gonna come back home to Boston and just try to figure it out. And a guy was driving me to the airport. Some scrawny white dude with glasses, corny looking dude. He goes, "You gonna come to the school, Aaron?" I was like, "I gotta pray about it." He was like, "Stop being fake, man. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. You coming or not?" He like, I'm like, I'm still in the world at this point. I'm like, bro, but he wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
And when he said it, it felt like God was speaking directly to me because
Yeah.
God knew if I went back home without making a decision,
Yeah.
I would have got pulled right back into my old lifestyle. So I made the decision right there in the car. I'm coming to the school. I called the guidance counselor, like, "Hey, I'm coming in January." When I came back home, when I tell you every single thing came against me, every single girl I used to want to talk to was blowing up my phone. People were giving me ideas to rob dominoes. It was like all this stuff was getting thrown at me in these 3 months. And I held off. I came to Atlanta in January 2016, and I quit smoking cold turkey. I quit drinking cold turkey, quit sleeping around cold turkey, because I'm the type of person I go all the way.
Yeah.
With music, I go 100 times. When I said for sure I'm giving God a try, like, I quit it all. Not saying in my own strength, but I'm just a very strong-willed person.
Mm.
So in the beginning, it was behavior modification.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
But I'm just that, like, I'm not doing this. But eventually, like, he changed my appetite.
Mm.
He changed my desires.
Mm.
And that was January 2016. So I came to Atlanta. I started a rap group with my homie Cam. You met Cam.
Yeah.
And we was traveling the world doing Christian rap. And I fell in love with youth ministry. And it just got this radically. I met my wife at the same school. And God just radically, like, transformed my life from, like, the inside out. So much that my old friends, they don't even recognize me no more. They know my personality. I'm still, like, loud and goofy, but they, like, respect my walk with the Lord because they know, like, I come back around. I don't care if there's 30 blunts. I'm like, I'm good. This went to Orlando for my homie's wedding. They were like, "Yeah, you trying to come to the club, Aaron?" I'm like, I'm good. Like, they know that I don't play about this Jesus walk, and that's been a witness to them
Mm.
because these same dudes who are still kind of living a certain way, they know that, like, I'm the one they call now, though. Their dad just died. They call me. They struggling. They got questions about life. They call me. They're not gonna say it in the group chat because they're gonna look weird. They don't want to see. They don't want to be that vulnerable. But they call me. So along this whole time, I'm serving the Lord, and I know the supernatural is real. God gave me a gift of, like, words of knowledge. So that's something, like, I didn't know it was a gift. I used to use it for evil.
Mm.
Because when I was in the world, I could walk in a room and I could just feel, I could see. I would use that for evil with women. I could walk around and be like, oh, I can see, like, oh, she been through trauma. Oh, she definitely been abused. And I'd be like, I would pray on that. I could just, like, see past the surface with people. So I could just really,
Yeah.
oh, I don't rock with them. I could just see things.
Yeah.
And I would use it for street smarts.
Yeah. The gifts of God are without repentance.
Yeah. So
They
when I got,
cannot- yeah.
so I got in the kingdom, I was like, oh, this is like, I'm supposed to pray for that person when I see that. I'm supposed to walk. And I feel like the Lord is. So when I heard about what gifts of knowledge were, I was like, oh, I had that. So now I would just walk in rooms and I'd be like, God, what do you want me to tell them? And I'll just go to people. I start praying on. They'd be like, bro, you have no idea. Like, I was just, so I was like, oh, I'm like 10 for 10 with this mug. It's not even like, I'll be like, yo, this is, and I'm like, dang, this is like a gift. I need to hone this and exercise it. And I noticed sometimes I'll turn it off. Like, I'll be in Target and I'm like, I'll hear something like, I got to get in and get out though. And God been showing me, like, Aaron, you don't know if that person's on their last whim. You don't know if you're giving them that word is going to stop them from ending their life. So I've learned to try to take heed to that voice. So I always knew the spiritual was real. I always knew that stuff was, like, so real.
Yeah.
But for me, because I was so much of a I would do words of knowledge. I'm a worshiper at heart, yo. I can't survive without worship. This is how I am. You can
Yeah.
ask my wife. Anytime I got free time, I'm putting worship on. That's just something about music with me, and God knows that. But like, I feel the most in touch with God when
Yeah.
I'm worshiping Him.
Yeah.
Like, I have to. I don't get up. I don't get up. People can't do it. But for me, that's what I do. So I'm a worshiper. I feel Him so intensely. If I don't worship for like 3-4 days, I feel it. Like, I can feel a tangible difference in how short I am with my wife, with my kids. So I stay connected to the vine. And in 2020, me and my wife started a brand called Break the Cycle. And when I first got the name, I'm just thinking like my dad was not the best dad. I'm gonna be a better dad. That's literally how shallow I thought about it.
Right.
I'm just gonna be a better dad. The black community, we glorifying drugs and killing and stealing. We got to change the narrative, which is all true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how like short sighted it was, and
Yeah.
God humored
It's
me.
more on a natural perspective.
It was all
Seemingly,
natural.
yeah.
It was all natural.
Yeah.
So I started it, and God put His hand on it. We made like over 6 figures to selling T-shirts and hoodies. And that's just with that borderline surface message. My wife has a crazy testimony. We're just telling our stories about who we used to be and how we broke the cycle in our lives. But we were keeping it kind of like, even if you're an unbeliever, you could hear it. You'd be like, oh, my dad was an addict and I changed. I'm not one.
Yeah. He was
Oh, my
relatable.
mom was abusive with me and I choose to be a good mom.
Yeah.
So God was really intentional with us. He gave me a name that wasn't like, Jesus loves you.
Yeah, you can grow into break a cycle.
Yeah, like I can go to public school right now,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, come in, break the cycle." But if my thing was maybe break every chain, it might be hard to get in the doors.
Yeah.
So God just He knew the beginning and the end with me, and a lot of my friends aren't believers. It's just He set it up like that.
Yeah.
He got me in the trap with people. A lot of people that aren't following God, I'm like the only church they will go to.
Right.
Like they'll come to my event. That's a Christian event. They know it. They'll be like, oh, I rock with A, so I'm gonna come. So God has strategically just placed me in a lot of different environments where I'm the only Christian, and I'm not acting like them.
Yeah.
So when He gave us Break the Cycle, I was like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. It's neutral, but it's like it's a lot of meat when you get underneath the surface.
Mhm.
But then in 2023, in January, I was doing my Daniel fast. And somehow me and Michaela, we got to the algorithm on YouTube where it was the Deliverance stuff. And I was like, I just never watched it on YouTube. I would see it here and there, and I was like, that look kind of fake. Like, I believed in it,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, these dudes is acting, bro. Like, I knew it was real. And sometimes I'm like, yo, I feel that's real. Other people, I'm like, okay, you probably paid him or something like that.
Yeah.
Then we find this guy, Isaiah Salvador, and I was like, I like him. I could tell he's like, I
Real
went look
passionate.
I looked up his testimony.
Genuine.
Yeah, I looked up his
Yeah.
testimony, and I was like, he's not acting. This
Yeah.
is his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I was like, I found another guy, Pagani. I was like, oh, he ex-hood dude. I believe him.
the Bronx.
I
Yeah.
trust him.
Yeah.
I trust him.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I'm watching their 2 videos. And we find another guy, Richard Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. Yeah, he's more recent.
He more recent, and
Yeah.
I was like, young dude, fresh out the world. What he
Yeah.
got to lie about?
Mhm.
I'm like, he just fresh
You
out the
seeing
world.
yourself. You seeing other people that are credible. That
Exactly.
really ain't got no reason to lie.
They got no reason to lie.
Yeah.
They don't gain nothing from. They
Yeah.
look crazy in
Yeah.
essence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I trust these guys. So I'm binging all their videos, binging them like for hours upon hours because we were fasting social media. So we said the only thing we could watch is spiritual stuff. So for some reason, for 2 months straight, all we watching on YouTube is deliverance stuff. Deliverance. So then I started seeing like, okay, you cap it. You definitely cap it. I could feel it. Like, this is a show. And then like, so I just started, I'm like, oh, I love this stuff. I'm like, becoming obsessed with it. Honestly, that's all we walking. And we're not telling anybody else because it looked kind of crazy. I go cap. Like when you watch it,
Yeah.
it's like, this stuff is different. But then God was speaking to us in that fast, and He was like, okay, Aaron, Break the Cycle is more than a t-shirt line. Like, I want you guys to start moving into deliverance ministry. But before you can deliver anybody, you and your wife need to get delivered. And I was like, bet.
Wow.
And in one episode, Isaiah was talking about he has a deliverance map. And I'm like, so we go look for the deliverance map. And we just like, oh, we find Georgia. So there was probably like, I think maybe 50 people on that map.
Mhm.
So we went through all of them. I'm like, all right, old people, I'm good. I ain't trying to. I know you love Jesus, but you know what I mean. So I'm like, we're going through everyone on the map.
Yeah.
Single guy, look. We know you love Jesus, so I'm going to everyone's Instagram and stuff. And we came across yours. I think my wife came across yours. She's like, yo, check him out, see what you think. I go to your Instagram. I'm like, there's not even that much stuff on it. Like that's like, but you just seem like super regular.
Yeah.
I just like regular. That's what I don't know. I'm weird like that.
Genuine.
Super regular,
Yeah,
genuine, nonchalant. And I was like, he ain't got nothing to lie about.
Yeah.
It's just him. So we go. Then I go to the website and I'm like, oh, this mug is. Are they serious about this? So like, I bet they would sign up. So and this whole time I'm not telling nobody. I'm not telling my mom. We're just me and Michaela like binging on this stuff. So then we connect, and because I seen so many deliverance videos online.
Yeah.
I had in my mind like, okay, I'm about to be swinging, screaming. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have no idea what to expect when I walk into this house. But I was like, I was so focused on being obedient. I was so focused on, I want to know what it's going to be like, because I know what goes on in my mind. I know what I struggle with. And I've always been like, man, is this just a part of what my walk with Jesus is always going to be like? Like, it's this and that. So I'm like, for me, I'm like, yo, the worst thing that could happen is I do this and it's not real. But I know it's real. So we hit you up, we went and did it. And why I said, can we record this is because in my brain, like I said before, I document everything because I feel like video can lie, but it don't lie. Like you could obviously edit a video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just know, I knew that for the rest of my life, this was like the beginning for me, it felt like.
Yeah.
A new beginning.
Absolutely.
So I need this on camera.
Yeah.
For me to remind myself, because even after I got free, you got to try to stay free. It ain't like you go through Deliverance and it's like, I ain't never get mad at my wife ever again.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel prideful. I don't ever feel rejected. It's like, I got to actively walk in it. And I knew with this video, and I was like, I feel like Lord was saying, don't post it. I was about to just post it right. I was like, I feel like God was saying, not yet. There's going to be a moment in time where, like when I launched maybe Deliverance, like when I start walking in the Deliverance stuff, and it'd be like, hey, y'all need to. So I feel like God was saying, chill, and like, I get it. Don't be too overzealous. I just want you to send this to all your close friends. And don't even really give them, it was like, hey, y'all. So what I did was I was like, y'all believe in demons? Someone was like, oh yeah. I'm like, what if I told you I got delivered from demons? I got demon cast at me. Like, bro, stop capping. Bro, you ain't gonna.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I'm gonna send you a video. You want to see a video? They're like, bro, send it right now.
Yeah.
So I sent it to probably like 20 of my closest friends, and some were like, didn't even respond.
That's probably the most common one.
They probably didn't respond.
They demons is scared.
Yeah.
That's their demons.
One of my homies, you met Nita, her boyfriend. He called me 2 seconds, like, bro. Hey, I need you to explain what happened, bro. Like, walking step by step, bro. How long was you there with the blood? And he was just like, but he hit it outside the group chat. He didn't want to say it in the group chat. He was kind of like,
he's a closet Deliverance.
Yeah,
junkie.
exactly. He was a closet one. He kind of like Nicodemus came on the side. Like,
He got some Nicodemus Deliverance artists.
But Cam was like, bro, where I sign up?
Yeah,
He was like, hey, where I sign up, bro? Los was like, Los was already kind of on that tip. He's like, yo, where I sign up, bro?
Yeah.
And yeah, when God said something, he's like, Aaron, when you get delivered, they'll follow.
Yeah.
Don't worry about looking crazy. Just go first. And I was like, and he proved true. Like you said, how many people came, and I didn't even know Israel told me his whole family did it. And then I'm like, because he just told me randomly. He's like, yeah, my sister went. She's like studying with Craig. I'm like, hold on, why'd you tell me this, bro? He's like, yeah, Brandon went. I'm like, Brandon went? I'm like, and Brand is the dude that's mentored me for the past. He's like the most safe person I know, honestly. So when Israel told me Brandon went, I was like, oh, it's getting crazy. Because I'm like, I ain't know how far it stretched off me just telling those people, and I'm like, dang, God, you exceeded my expectations of how many people were gonna want to go get free. Cause I'm just showing them video. I'm at work with Israel. I'm like, hey, bro, you want to see a video, bro? I'm just like,
I need you to because people don't realize the people names that you're calling.
oh, okay.
These are highly anointed, prophetically gifted men of God
That's true.
before they came to see me.
Oh yeah.
Like when you say Israel, he came, and before we even began the session, he just noticed he noticed the atmosphere,
Oh, he different.
and he was like, "Yo, there's an open heaven in here." Listen to me, brother. I lied to you not. He prophesied over me
I believe it.
for 3 hours straight
I believe it.
before we even started deliverance.
Before you even did the
He prophesied over me and had me and my wife weeping on our faces on our ground. Like we knew the Lord was in the room. We were weeping. We were receiving it. He wrecked us.
I believe it.
We had to pull it together to be able to serve him and cast his demons out.
He different, bro.
But what I'm just trying to say, like some of the most highly anointed people can still, like Paul had the thorn in his side. You know, Paul talked about, you know, the sin within still that he struggled with. You know what I'm saying? So some of the most highly anointed people still have come, you know what I'm saying? Then you talk about Brandon Burke. You know what I'm saying? He
pray for a
prophesied.
living.
Yeah, like these dudes pray for a living. Like he'll be in a room for 10 hours.
I don't know how
These
you
are
do it.
people that are, if I could say, more saved than me.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
He more saved than me too. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie.
before they even came, probably been in this walk longer than me before they even came to see me, but still realized that there's a level of freedom that they still knew that
Was available.
God can say, "Look, I need you to come up higher." And so, for you to say that this is just for the unsaved when it's actually specifically for the saved, like that's demonic doctrine. When I can tell you that some of the most anointed people have come in for deliverance, and then we've seen their anointing do this. And so to say that, you know, it's that believers can't have demon, or to say that deliverance isn't real or it's for the unsaved, when that's not biblical. Like it's clear Jesus says specifically this is the children's bread. And he asked his followers to do this, to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? And so when you talk about like Brandon and Israel and like these cats are highly, like I've had other ministers of the gospels come through, and there are just things that we have to deal with. But because of our salvation, deliverance is one of the pieces of your inheritance that you have an option to cleanse your soul. And so if you don't want to take advantage of that, that's on you. But I don't care how saved or anointed you are, it's available to you. You know, so you man, you know some highly anointed brothers, man. You know some gifted. And so even before you came, you had a ministry with and you were married. You know what I'm saying? You had a reputation. You were doing your thing for years.
Years, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you still came and had an experience, and you got to see that there were still some things, like Paul says, sin still within.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it still don't feel real. And that's how I know, like, it don't feel real because it's like a moment. And a pushback I got from one of my friends, when I sent him the video, he said he thought it was weird because, like, I went to a place to do it. He's like, you just went to some Negroes, some living room and just got delivered. Like, I was like,
What is it supposed to be?
that's all. He was like, you could do that in your room by yourself. You don't gotta go nobody. That is, you're limiting God. And I was like, I see what your mindset.
Right.
Like, he's like, bro, you know, self-deliverance is a thing. And I'm like, bro, how I look at it is that, because I'm an athlete, I play sports, and I got a mentor for every area of my life.
Yeah, there you go.
No matter how spiritual I think I am,
Yeah.
I feel like there's somebody more spiritual. To my brain, I'm never going to arrive. So I look at it like, if my arm was hurting, I would go to a specialist.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for me, I went to a demon specialist.
Yeah.
Because I don't have my full theology around this stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's real.
Yeah.
I haven't studied it. So I went to a specialist and be
Yeah.
like, okay, can you see some stuff?
Yeah.
So if you feel like you don't need a specialist, that's cool. But how I operate is in every area of my life, I want to go see someone that's like all you study probably is demons. Low key, you're writing books
It's
about
my
it.
life.
You devote your life to this.
Yeah.
You and your wife devote your life to this
Yeah.
mug. And when I
Yeah.
seen, I was like, the fact y'all do this every single Friday,
Yeah.
rain or shine,
Yeah.
like that's like you devote your life to this.
Absolutely.
So so for me, I'd be an idiot not to go to a specialist to point out my blind areas and my blind spot.
Yeah. And that's what I see it as is self-deliverance absolutely is a thing, and it's actually my personal lifestyle. Like I practice it daily.
Daily,
You
okay.
know what I'm saying? Like I'm always like, Lord, show me whatever it is. I don't want it in me. Show me,
Yeah.
but yes, you come into my office and now you're in the fishbowl.
Mm.
And so I can see the things that you cannot see. And I can and call out your blind spots and put you on a path. And essentially during the session, we educate you on what to do for self-deliverance, how to kind of move in that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the mindset that oh, you could do that by yourself, you limiting God, like that's not biblical. Like Jesus told his disciples as his almost as if like if someone was to die and they give you their last words, clearly those words are very important. Well,
Facts.
before he left and went back to heaven, he said, heal the sick, cast
So
out demons.
demons.
Like, and he told them to do it to others. He didn't say cast out your own demons. There's nowhere in the Bible. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that. So you can tell your friend like that's not biblical, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. But that's not biblical. It is biblical to receive deliverance from your brothers and sisters in Christ, like from disciples, from followers of Jesus Christ. That's absolutely biblical. You know what I'm saying? And so you know that you were doing something biblical. You know that you were hearing from the Lord.
Oh,
Clearly,
facts.
clearly in retrospect, you can look and see how your life has been impacted. You can look at the other anointed people in your life and how their lives have been impacted and their stories and see that clearly me going has sparked something and all these other people are being healed. Like clearly that was God speaking to you.
Clearly.
And so if deliverance isn't real, that means you don't hear from God. That means the devil told you to come see me. It just
A house
doesn't make
divided against
sense.
itself will stand. That's all I'm like.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
And
at
so to
all.
argue with those people, that doesn't make sense. Or you don't have the time when there's just so many. Like I get a notification when someone fills out their application and they want to make an appointment with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're booked through May. Like we usually book 2-3 months in advance.
Dang.
And there are like 3 people right now that I haven't even called yet to even schedule. And so we're usually backed up. And so for me to debate and give you that time when I have people waiting in line to be healed and delivered,
I could be more like you, man. I ain't gonna lie. I
like
be debating
to
people.
you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm saying people are standing in line. So like you haven't even filled out an application. So for me to give you time, when I'm probably talking to someone who's hearing from a spirit. Because if you don't believe in it, then you've probably never received it. If you never received it, you definitely have some spirits that need to be dealt with, for sure. And so for me to waste my time with someone who's not, I don't waste my time unless you're desperate for deliverance.
I see what you're saying.
Like you can come to me and think you want deliverance, and I still might not mess with you. Like you need to be desperate
I was desperate.
for me to spend the time, because it's very time consuming, as you remember. So you need to be desperate to even be considered. And if you think about it, who wasn't desperate that received something from the Lord? Think about every healing that's been documented in the Bible.
That's so real.
Think about the one with the issue of blood. She had to be desperate to
receive.
step out like that and what she had to do. The woman who he basically called a female dog. He was like, "Yo, this is for the children's bread," and he was like, "Why would I give, the dog, the children's bread under the table?" And she refused to be offended. She passed that test by refusing to be offended, but he took care of her. You know what I'm saying? But everyone in the Bible, you talk about like Jesus was probably healing people like all day long for hours, people standing in line. Because they said they people would just fill up the house and bring people to him, and he healed everybody. But like,
Mm,
imagine how many hours you might have had to wait in line to get healed.
that's
I
desperation.
got people that's just like, well, only Fridays. You only do Fridays. Oh, you ain't desperate. You know what I'm saying? We have people in line. And
Mm,
so there is a level of desperation that's required to truly receive.
that's
So you
real.
come in here religious, a religious mindset, and you kind of analyze, and at the same time, while you're here, you're not ready. And so
Mm,
it's just a distraction from the devil. If I'm gonna really spending my time, whether arguing legitimacy with you or even spending time with you, and you need to be convinced still. No, the truth is you need some more life to beat you up, so you can realize that it's your time.
that's
You know
so
what I'm
real.
saying? And so desperation is a very important key, in this ministry. And so that's how I kind of guide my attention because I just don't have the time. Like I have a family, I homeschool my children, and we're full time in this. And
Mm,
so, you know, maybe me and my wife will do a video about can a Christian have a demon? Like there's plenty of those out there though.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like let's just focus on healing God's people and racking up testimonies. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
that's what we're here. You know what I'm saying? Let's just rack up testimonies and just keep socking the devil in the eye with that.
You can't argue with a testimony. I mean, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You could say it's fake.
But like who does
They
that
all lies.
but once again, who does that benefit? Like that's in the devil's best interest. So like if you're not really saving somebody, if someone's gonna try to discredit your testimony, like they are not working for the Lord.
Mm.
They're not working for the Lord because your testimony is all about you trying to help someone. You're trying to turn more people onto this. You're trying to open more eyes to this. And so if you are someone who is just like, nah, 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 like there's something in you. And it's called the spirit of doubt and unbelief. Like that's the actual thing.
Mm.
It's called the spirit of doubt and unbelief. And it's a powerful demon. You know what I'm saying? And you can be saved and still have that.
Oh, there we all
But
got
clearly
that.
you don't believe. So there's something in you that doesn't believe, and it's the spirit.
For I've heard a couple of people because again I be listening to many arguments, but something they said they don't believe in this because they feel like a lot of believers use this theology as a crutch for not being a hard worker, not being disciplined. It's like they call everything a demon
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of just no. You just need to eat healthier and go to bed on time.
Yeah.
You need to well have a no. You just aren't eating healthy and you're not exercising. So
Yeah.
do that first before you say you have a demon.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
heard that and I'm like, I
Yeah, I
understand.
can see that, but
Yeah,
at the
it's
same time, like there's balance.
like
Like
are you taking
this
care of
person is
yourself?
there's far right and far left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you lack balance, you're clearly just unbelieving in this area,
Mm,
and you just think it's that. You're basically denying spirituality. You're denying the spiritual aspect of things, and it's usually just out of ignorance because you don't know, and so you
yeah,
stick with the familiar. Like if you had your eyes exposed and open to some of the things that we see on Friday nights, you can't unsee it.
that's so real.
And if you can, nobody can discount your experience. So
Mm,
regardless of the people that want to argue with you, like you still have this video, you still have that night that happened, and you just know how it's affected your marriage. You know how it's affected your relationships and your homies. And
mm-hmm.
so there's just nothing anybody can say to you.
That's
They
real.
can it's something they can say, but there's nothing they can do to convince you that what you experience isn't real.
All facts.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why this is so important. That's why demonstration is so important. That's why theology is important, but demonstration, that's what the kingdom of God is. And that's what Jesus preached. He
Mm,
preached the kingdom, and it was all about demonstration. And so you can have all your doctrine and theology and religion all ducks in a row, but if you're not demonstrating kingdom power, people aren't experiencing God. And if they're not experiencing
mm.
God, then you have people that can be convinced out of whatever you've shared with them. There's always somebody smarter than you that can probably unravel everything you just preached to that person. But
Facts.
if you give them an experience or you let God come in the room and work the supernatural, like it doesn't matter how wise somebody is or how smart someone is. There's nothing they can tell you at that point to take away your experience. And so it's very important that we couple demonstration with gospel and not just
Mm.
intellect. You got a lot of smart guys with information.
Whole
I
lot of
saw
smart
somebody.
guys.
There's a guy. It's called Smart Christians.
I was gonna ask if you watch
It's
him. I watch
I
all his
don't.
stuff.
Yeah, I have seen this stuff, but I
Yeah,
know that this is intellectual.
yeah, he's on
But
intellectual.
we're not talking about someone moving in power.
He'll
That's
literally
what
go to
that's where
Deliverance
the
rallies
yeah
just to be like, I went to one the other day. Here's what I saw. And
yeah
he's like, he'll
that's
do that.
that's where you lose credibility right there. And
Yeah.
in the Bible, if you wasn't moving in power, you didn't have no credibility. Like that's where the Holy Spirit backed them up, so that
Mm.
you know what I'm saying. Like he backed them up as proof that God was with them. And so if you're not moving in any kind of power, you're not doing any kind of demonstration. There's no healing. There's no deliverance. There's no nothing except just preaching. Uh, you don't have credibility in the realm of the spirit. And so that's why
Mm.
deliverance is so powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you hear a lot of arguments, but it doesn't change anything for you.
It doesn't. I just like listening to him because I'm like, okay, I know if I know what you're thinking and how you see it and view it, it's just for me, it's knowledge like, okay, here's why they don't believe. Like I just want to understand their viewpoints. So I'm like, okay, I've heard every talking point of why they don't believe in
Yeah.
it by this point. So I'm like, okay. I listen to guys like Alan Parr and stuff like that. And I'm like, as I just listen to him speak more, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I know you're saved. It's just I know you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, you've explained you've logic explained it out of your brain of why you don't believe it. But I know that, so I'm like, Lord, just give them an encounter, Lord.
That's it.
Lord,
That's
give
why.
them an
That's
encounter,
why
Lord.
demonstration is so important.
Yeah, I'm like, Lord,
Because
yeah, give
I
them an
say that
encounter,
about. I
Lord.
say the same thing about atheists,
Mm,
agnostics, people that don't believe in deliverance. Like anybody that's an unbeliever,
mm-hmm.
it just means they have not had an encounter.
Mm.
Because if you have an encounter, if you are Paul and Jesus shows up and knocks you off your horse and blinds you and then opens your eyes,
That's real.
you'll never forget. You will be forever changed, and you will go and tell everybody that I was wrong. But the truth is that if you don't believe in Jesus, it's because you haven't met him. That's it. You just haven't met him. You haven't had an
The
encounter.
real him, at least.
That's the bottom line. You haven't had an encounter. If you don't believe in deliverance, you clearly haven't received deliverance. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
If you're not sure that there's enough evidence that God exists or not, like that's as agnostics,
Yeah.
then you haven't had an encounter. And so the best thing you can do is not argue with those people, is pray that they have an encounter because it's the only thing
That's so real.
that works. And so that's why I don't spend the time debating and arguing. I'll just pray for you that you have an encounter so that you can come back and holler back later and be like, yo,
Bro, guess what happened the
guess
other
what
day, bro?
happened? Yeah, yeah. Or not. You don't have to come back. You know what I'm saying? That's
Oh, yeah.
fine. Like when Jesus healed those cats, only one of them came back. Like that's just how it usually is. Like you
Mm.
can still get deliverance and still have pride and still be too prideful to come back and say, yeah, I was wrong. But I know that that's typically either they'll never have that encounter, and that's unfortunate, or they will someday, and they'll be like, man, I was tripping. Because I was one of those people.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I believe that even speaking in tongues was demonic.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, now I do. Now I try to, I've tried to break records and go 10 hours straight.
The speaking in tongues?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Like I was calling what's evil good and what's good evil. That was blasphemous for years. I believed that it was demonic. Until one day I'm sitting in the service and my tongue starts moving and I start hearing God's voice and my life is forever changed from that moment.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like when you have an encounter, it changes everything. Everything. And so you have encounters that nobody can't tell you nothing.
Oh, no. It's solidified. Like, I see too much at this point. I'm like,
Yeah. So
I don't care what pastor done tricked off. Because I went to mission school with a lot of kids. We had the same encounters. Worship was like we was in the throne room.
Mhm.
And like about 85% of them, pastor had a little falling out. They're not even serving the Lord no more. And me and my wife always talk about like, yo, how do you see what we saw? Because we're seeing the same things, and like you just like, no, I don't believe no more. It don't make sense to me. So I'm like, either they never. I still can't wrap my mind around it.
Mm.
How you could taste and see, and then be like, nah, I'm just gonna go. I understand backsliding. I get that. Being like, I know you real God, but right now, I don't
Right,
rock
but
with
to
you.
just be like, I don't believe.
I don't rock with you no more. I'm rock,
Yeah.
God. Someone in my life past tribulations. I'm not rock with you right now, God. I know you real, but I understand that. But to be like, you're not real.
Yeah, I think I
I
think
don't.
I think that you can, and I've witnessed this. You can be in the same room with someone and Jesus literally can walk in that room. Like his manifest presence literally be there. And I've seen that and I can look around and see everybody shook. And then there's still a handful of people that clueless, just missed it. Like you can miss Jesus and he
Mm,
could be in the room.
dang.
And so the thing is that those people usually just aren't present. Like you know how you can be with your kids but like not be present. Like you can be
Oh,
with your kids but
facts.
maybe be on your phone or your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's the same with those experiences. That's how he's that powerful that he can show up, but he's not forcing himself on you. And so you can sit there and be somewhere else and not really be present and totally miss the move of God.
No, I'm talking. I'm seeing these people. They're worshiping at the altar,
Yeah.
crying out. They're praying for people. They're seeing healings. I'm seeing people like
Mm,
that.
mm,
Like I'm next to them. We're out praying for people on the street. They're seeing legs grow out. All that. They're worship leaders. I'm just like I see them
wow.
out here. Like I'm like, yo, they love Jesus. And they're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't. You're not real no more.
Mm,
That's why I'm like, I don't get it. Like, but it says many would say, Lord, Lord. But I'm like, I still ask myself every day, I don't get it. Because
yeah.
I know when I tasted the Lord, even if I was mad at him, I,
Yeah.
I would never fix my lips and say he not real.
Yeah. That shows you how powerful those voices are.
Mm.
Because
So
clearly
that's what it is.
clearly
Oh, okay.
you're talking about people who are speaking things that they're hearing. You know what
Oh,
I'm
it's the
saying? And
voices.
so
Okay.
maybe they've had encounters as far as uh, in ministry and they've seen some things, but if they themselves are not healed and delivered and set free from just influence, very influential voices, like if they don't experience that or they don't receive that, a lot of those voices, what's interesting about generational spirits is the generational spirit is there the moment you're born because it's in your bloodline, right? And so the moment you're born, the spirit is there, and that spirit is actually it. The spirit speaks to you through your thoughts, right? Well, if a spirit is speaking to you through your thought and it's there when you're born, that means that means your first thought is very likely from an evil spirit. Because he can speak to you before you're even old enough or developed in your brain enough to formulate your own thoughts.
Oh wow. That's
He's
so
able to
wild.
speak to you before you have your first word.
That's crazy.
So if he's speaking to you before you even begin putting together your own thoughts, how are you going to know how to differentiate between a generational spirit and your own thought? Unless
Wow.
unless you are deep in the word and you are using that sword to separate flesh from spirit, from soul from spirit. Like you're really separating and you know the voice of God and you know when it's you and you know when it's a demonic spirit.
That's so
Like you got to be
crazy.
so deep in the word to really be able to differentiate your thought process from an evil spirit. And so a lot of people really don't get that.
That's
And
so
so they
good.
might think that their own thought process is their own when
Mm.
you might not even believe some of the things you say. And
Dang.
you don't realize that that's a spirit speaking through you or spirit that's infiltrated your thought process, but you think it's you because you don't believe in spirits. Those are the best people to speak through.
Dang. That makes that
And
see
and
that
so
clears it up.
so it's a possibility that those people have these voices that don't sleep, that are just always speaking, don't even need to be triggered. Like they're just on a mission to just impress upon your mind whatever they have to do to distract you from becoming who you need to be.
The offense and the hurt and the
All of that,
betrayal.
and it
Yeah.
just keeps going and it keeps going, and they can convince you of whatever they want to convince you of, just on sheer repetition and just being persistent with the thought process. Like I can convince you out of your experience. Only a spirit can do that because you're not spending enough time. These people arguing with you about your experience, you don't spend enough time with them for them to like get you to just break down your thought process and get you to start really doubting, was that God?
Mm,
But Satan, that's what he did in the garden.
wow.
Was that, did God really say? Did God, that's what spirits do. And so that's, if I had to have an explanation as to why someone would be deep in ministry and then all of a sudden kind of flake out on it, it's probably because they need deliverance, or they were functioning in ministry and still dealing with some generational stuff that they never handled.
No, that answers it. That answers it. Because that's the most.
I'm a nerd. This
No,
is what I do.
that
This is
answers
my
it.
life, bro. This is. What's funny is that it's so much similar, like how Peter was a fisherman. You know what I'm saying? And in that profession, God kind of flipped it and was like, now you're gonna be fisher of men.
Mm-hmm.
So I come from the healing arts. I come from chiropractic. I come from being in alignment. And so now it's about kingdom alignment.
Dang,
It's
that's deep.
about finding the source of the problem. It was the same with chiropractic. And
That's
if you knew
deep.
anything about me or my reputation, like I was excellent at what I did, when I was in that field. And so it hasn't changed. It's just all the same principles. Just like I'm assuming, Jesus was able to teach Peter how to apply his stuff into ministry. I find myself using a lot of the same stuff as far as my mindset and my thought processes. And so it's just
Dang.
allowed me to be just knowing that I'm called to do this. You know what I mean?
That's so wild.
Yeah.
I feel like you had a question before I said that.
No, I was just trying to get you to just share more of your testimony about just your experience just in your session. Like what you remember, just your experience. If you were to give a testimony tonight and it was just to be about your
The
experience
experience?
that night.
I'm like a really self-aware person.
Mm.
It's like I know I deal with pride. I know I deal with heavy with unforgiveness. I know I deal heavy with rejection issues. That's something God revealed to me prior to me coming to do the deliverance was like, Aaron, your whole world has been shaped through rejection. How you interact with people is shaped through rejection. Every relationship, your wife, your kids, every single one, that's the lens you see the world through, is to protect yourself from that. So you can't fully love people. You can, because it's like if I'm waiting for you to hurt me, or because I know I can have like the best of best friends, and I'd be like, oh, he don't really rock with me, and like I'm always thinking that in my head, like he don't really rock with me. It's like, but I know he does, so I know that's a battle for me.
Yeah.
So I went to Deliverance. We did like kind of the pre-Deliverance kind of where we had the phone call, and we did the basically the background check, whatever, you probably have a better word for it. But so before I went in, we had the call and you were kind of showing me some things before I even went into it to have my mindset right. Went through the forgiveness part. So when I went into it, I was kind of like, okay, Lord, am I gonna manifest? Like for me, my brain was like, am I gonna manifest? That's that's kind of what I was thinking about in my mind.
Crazy that's like that's even people's mindset, or even like that's a worry. Or
Yeah, I was
concern,
like, am I
to
gonna?
even think.
Because if I manifest, then I got a demon in me,
Right.
and I still don't have my theology around what this means. I just know that if I have one, I want it out.
Thank you.
That's all. I don't even know. I don't even fully understand this stuff yet.
Yeah.
I just know it's real, and if I have one,
Take it out.
take it out. Like
Yeah,
that's all I can. Like I'm humble. I like call myself that, but I'm like I'm not ever trying to portray myself as something. I'm like, bro, if I got something that's wrong, tell me, show me. I got something in my teeth, let me know. So I went into there like, okay, I'm about to manifest. Hopefully I'm not growling like them dudes on YouTube. So I'm already kind of in my head with it, but I'm at peace. Like something about to happen tonight. So as we're going through it, in the beginning, I'm in my head. of like, all right, Aaron, you about to growl? Like, so I'm like, but then eventually the more we went, I started losing track of time. And then I felt them fighting to stay. And that's when it became real to me. When we're calling things out. And then I started feeling my body having a reaction to it. Because at first I was kind of like, okay, I'm in my head thinking like, okay, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe I had too much experience with it prior.
Mhm.
And I'd have seen the hundreds and hundreds of videos. So I was
Yeah.
like already trying to guess what it was going to be like.
Mm.
So I was trying to get my brain to shut off and just be. So as we're going through, we're calling stuff out, you know, like the depression, the lust and stuff like that. I'm noticing my body like starting to have a reaction to it when the words are being spoke.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, this was the first time the spiritual realm was always real to me. I've seen people manifesting at services. It was just never me. Like I'm watching from afar, like, oh, that look crazy. Oh, homegirl screaming, she fighting. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So I
Yeah.
always just would see it and be
Yeah.
like, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's wild, but it's not me. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
yeah.
so it was real, but it wasn't. I guess it wasn't all the way real to me because it was just never me.
Mm.
And I never cast a demon out of nobody.
Mhm.
So it's like I see it. So now I'm in it like, okay, what's about to happen? So I'm trying to get out of my head. But the more we start calling things out and I'm feeling my body fight against it, now I'm noticing my thoughts are like turning kind of evil just out of nowhere. And I'm like, what? Okay, what's going on? Something starting to shift. And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave. It's like all this crazy stuff is starting to pop in my brain. And I'm like, I can't control it. Now I'm saying it.
Mm.
And I was like, oh. So it's weird because the whole time it's happening, I'm in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm super aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
but then I'll snap. And it's like, but the whole time I'm like aware. It's like a weird thing. I can't even explain it. So I'm aware of what's going on, but I know that these thoughts aren't my thoughts.
Right.
Like I know what's coming out my mouth isn't me, but I can't control it. And then, yeah, I'm losing control of my body. I didn't puke all the way, but I know I was kind of puking, and I remember I was curled over on the floor and I can't move.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm in the consciousness of like, what the heck is going on with me right now?
Mm.
Plus, I'm thinking like, oh, Aaron, you got to fight.
Mm.
Like I feel like I was in a war.
Mm.
I feel like I'm in the
You
middle
were.
of a battle.
were.
I'm like in a battle, and I'm
Yeah.
like, so now I'm like in fight mode, or like, nah, it's about to come out, and so I'm screaming, I'm doing what I gotta do to come out, and then I didn't look at my phone this whole time, but then I grabbed my phone. It was like, it said like 3:30 a.m. I'm like, what the? How long was we doing this for? But
Yeah, we was in the realms.
we was in the realms, so I'm in and out of consciousness. But it was
Yeah.
the craziest thing I've ever felt because it wasn't like I was asleep, like I was awake, and that was the first time I felt like since that moment when I said I thought the demon was trying to get me, whatever that was back then. I don't know. This is the first time since then I felt like, oh, I'm in like I don't have control over my body, but I do. And it just felt like a war that I couldn't explain internally. And yeah, my body, I know that when rejection and lust was trying to come out, I know for especially rejection, it didn't want to leave.
Mm-mm.
That mug did not want to leave.
Yeah.
And it was like, because that's my identity.
Mm.
That was it got me through so much. I didn't trust people. So I was like, I feel like, what would my life be like if I didn't look through that lens? And I know for what God's called me to do, I know, even to now, I'm still fighting it, honestly. I know there's like a little bit of a wall, whereas like there's another level of intimacy I know God wants me to have with the people he's calling me to.
Mm.
Something as small as like, even with my wife,
Mm.
I'm like, why am I not super affectionate with her?
Mm.
Like I feel it on the inside. I love her,
Yeah.
but like, why is it I feel uncomfortable praying with her?
Yeah.
There's little things like that I'm asking myself, and it's all through that lens of like, there's a level of vulnerability I'm not willing to go to.
Yeah.
And I feel like God wanted me to strip me of that. Like, if you're called to deliver people, you're called help people break cycles and walk with young men and show them it's okay to feel. I can't be preaching that, but as a grown man, like I'm afraid to feel.
Yeah.
So how can I teach that to these young kids to deal with their emotions and feel if I'm still 33, afraid to feel?
But that's why. It's exactly why that is now your testimony, because if he just snapped his finger and you were just healed and all those things just were non-factors,
Mm.
you wouldn't have a testimony and you wouldn't be qualified to walk anybody through that. And so that's
Mm.
why sometimes he's very gentle in his healing process, and he heals us in layers and levels and rounds. And so that is why he's taking you through a specific path with this particular area of your life, because you're called to heal and deliver people in that particular area.
Mm.
If he, like I said, just snapped his fingers and it was just became a non-issue, and all of a sudden you're just super duper affectionate and all those things that you might be struggling with,
Yeah.
then he would have to do that. He would have to give you this crazy power to just snap your fingers and do that for everyone else.
And
But
not
but
walk with
but
them through it.
rather he'd rather walk you through it, hold your hand and walk you through the whole process so that whoever you meet, wherever they are in their process, you'll be able to identify exactly where they are and know where to hold their hand and exactly where to take them next.
Ooh, sheesh.
That's what he's calling you to do.
Dang.
That's where he's calling, like I can look at what I'm struggling with and know, okay, he's helping me. He's walking me through this because I know that I'm going to help others with this area. And so that's how it usually works with that particular
Mm.
area that you might still be struggling. Your biggest struggle is typically where you're called to minister.
Dang.
That's gospel right there.
I think that's wild.
That's where you're being called, is to minister to people in that particular area, and you need to be scientific and surgical with it. And the only way to be that is for him to walk you through every step and every level, every layer of it, to where you can just look at someone and just know exactly. You can see them in the spirit immediately, like, yep, I know exactly where she is now. Because there's so many different rounds of
Dang.
it. Just like you're still a long way from where you were
Oh,
today,
facts.
right? And so you just understand that there's layers. When he called Lazarus out of the grave, like, he had, man, layers of wrapping around him. And so the
Mm.
first thing he says was unwrap him. Imagine how many layers they had to just walk around that dude and to free him from all those layers of, you know what I'm saying, of grave clothes. And so that's what we do in self deliverance and in the lifestyle of deliverance, is we're working through the layers too. And so he doesn't just, you don't just get, and that's why counseling is important too. Like, you don't just get magically just healed and delivered and everything is just perfect at the snap of
Mm.
a finger,
That's what
because
I was expecting, though. I
the
ain't gonna
demon
lie.
left, because the demon actually caused trauma. The demon is gone, but there's a lot of damage that was done. It's like if you
Mm.
own a house and you have tenants and they punch holes in the walls and they tear up the carpet and they had a dog, and but then they moved out. There's still a lot of repairs that have to happen after you've casted them out. And so there's still repairs that are happening. And so after you walk out, the Lord is still doing some things in you, and he's still working and preparing you for the level of ministry that he's calling you to. And so when Paul says, if pleasing, he said, if pleasing people were my goal, then I would not be Christ's servant. Like, I remember, that's NLT, that's clear as day. I think that's in
Dang.
Romans. If pleasing people were my goal, then I could not be Christ's servant. Think about that. One of the most common spirits we deal with, easily top three, is the spirit of rejection.
Mm.
That is absolutely a demonic strategy that he uses because it's so effective.
It is.
Because the one of the most common uh, symptoms of someone dealing with rejection is people pleasing,
Mm.
fear of man, opinions of others. It's people pleasers, people that want to be accepted.
Dang.
Think about that. If pleasing people were my goal, then I could not be Christ's servant.
Whew.
So it's a distraction
Dang.
from service.
Dang.
The spirit of rejection is simply a distraction to keep you, like, there's a lot of things that it does, as you know, but it's a distraction from the enemy to keep you from becoming a servant of God. It's a distraction to keep you from becoming
Mm.
the person that God has made you to be, and to function in his kingdom and to be functioning in his army. And so if we have a battle
Dang.
against light and darkness, and you are supposed to be front line soldier for Christ. If he sticks you, if he puts people pleasing in your soul, and he distracts you with that, like you can't be a soldier. You can't be a soldier if you about
Mm,
pleasing people.
wow.
If pleasing people were my goal, I could not be Christ's servant. Spirit of rejection all day. Most common demon we deal with every Friday night. Top three, easy. So rejection is a major, has major influence. It's a major um, strategy of the devil.
That might be working, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And but that shows your how powerful your calling is. If you're
Mm,
being called to walk people through that specific struggle, because it's so
mm.
common and so influential. Like
I
he's
thought I had to
taking his
come
time.
back. I ain't gonna lie.
Nah, we don't do that.
That's why I was like, because I had the
Yeah, yeah,
perspective of
yeah.
like, okay, once
Nah, it's
I'm,
a
ne-
process.
I'm
That's
never
it.
gonna get mad at my wife no more.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get frustrated with her no more. Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. We're not gonna fight. And then we're like, 2 days later we fight. I'm like,
yeah,
hold on, did this mug work? But I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
no, you gotta walk it
It's the
out. And it's like,
sanctification. It's the process of sanctification. It's just layers of
yeah.
healing that you have to work through, and you have to stay on it. You can't walk away from it. And it's just like how Jesus said, like when the spirit leaves, like he tries to come back and he brings back seven more wicked friends with him. So like you can end up, people say seven times worse, but actually if you come back with seven demons more wicked, like it's exponential. It's way more than seven times worse.
Mm,
And so yes, you can get worse after you get healed if you don't pursue Jesus hardcore. If you're not about living that life and you're not about continuing to pursue your healing and deliverance process, things can get worse for you. And you may need to end up back in a deliverance session.
mm.
We just don't do repeats just because we don't have time because we
Nah, for
have a line of people,
that.
so we really admonish people to really take this seriously and live that life. And then we write some books to say, hey, read these.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, your process was very real. And we were in the realm of the spirit. So yeah, you don't recognize time. And yeah, the session went really long. You know
Crazy.
what I'm saying? And but tell us, I guess wrap that up and kind of tell us like what how things happen as far as you coming out of it and the end result and that next
Mm.
morning or just how life was after that. Kind of get into that.
Cause we finished. I didn't get home till I think like 4:30, something like that.
Mm,
So I slept till like 3 p.m. I ain't gonna count, and it was the most peaceful sleep I ever had.
yeah, that's
I
normal.
woke up. I felt lighter.
Mm,
It was like my mind felt clearer.
mm,
So for me, the after effect of this is my awareness has heightened times a trillion to the spiritual realm
yeah.
and me, what's going on inside of me and what I'm dealing with. And it's just like now I kind of have language and a different perspective on me
Mm,
and why I am how I am. And I could see it way more clear when it's the enemy trying to speak through me. It's just like I can see things quicker and faster. But if I'm being honest, I know that unforgiveness. I'm gonna be real with you. Like I ain't talked to my sister in 2 months. So have we had this conversation? I know I need to call
mm,
her. So that they still try to creep in,
yeah.
but in this instance, like she was just mad at me. And I know when people be mad at me and I know my heart be pure, I'll be like, I cut people off with the quickness. I don't be caring.
Yeah.
I don't think twice. I sleep good.
Yeah.
And I called my homie and I was like, bro, why am I like this? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, my own family members, if I don't talk to you, I don't care. He's like, and he don't know nothing. I didn't tell him about deliverance or nothing. He goes, bro, that's rejection, bro. Like, what you mean? He was like, you not caring when someone else is hurt or someone being close to you and not being close to you anymore, you don't care. It's rejection because you're trying to protect yourself. You're
Mm,
from feeling bad, from feeling like, oh my gosh, they don't love me, they don't care. So you've built that wall up over 33 years
mm,
of just not caring, just cutting people off, letting them go. like not thinking twice about it. And I was like, okay, it's trying to creep back in. But I noticed it will, like that stronghold around unforgiveness and rejection. Um, I'm still fighting it
Mm,
in that area. But in a lot of other areas, it's like it's night and day.
mm,
It's like I'm less irritated. I can't even explain it. I just feel I just feel free.
mm.
I just feel like trying to find a word for it. I feel closer to God. I feel like there's less things in between me and him. My prayer life is better. Um my my prayer life is better. How I see people is better. Like I feel like my heart has grown. In essence, when I see people struggling, when I see things that's going on, I could see deeper in the spiritual realm. So my heart has grown more. One thing I will say is I'm afraid. One of my homies was like, "Man, I ain't going to him, bro. I don't know him, bro. How about you just do it?" And when he said it, I was like, "I don't want to do it on you. I want to do it on someone I don't know." So to this day, I haven't done it
Yeah,
because it's one of my homies,
yeah,
and he was like, "How about you do deliverance for me? I'll come over on Friday." And he just said it like that, and I was like, "I'm gonna hit you." And this was when we do deliverance. Was it like September,
man.
October? So this was my fault. It's been like 5 months, and I ain't brought it back up to him. And I'm so now we're having this conversation. I'm still asking the Lord, like, Lord, why am I so afraid?
Mm,
'Cause I feel like if I do it, it's not gonna work. But if
mm,
it's a stranger and it don't work, I'm like, oh, I tried. But this guy in front of me who trusts me with everything, believes me, is like, I'm trusting you to help me get this stuff out.
yeah.
And if we do it, we go through the whole thing and nothing happens, then I'm gonna feel like a fraud.
Mm.
And like, oh, it wasn't real. Oh man,
So think about this.
this dude Aaron Capping. So I already know it's the
But,
enemy in my brain,
right. Well, think about this.
but I'm afraid I ain't
That's
gonna count.
rejection. Still
It's
speaking.
rejection.
You're protecting yourself from failure. It's kind of like fear of failure, fear of rejection. But
mm,
the truth is that the Lord is presenting you with an opportunity to start somewhere.
it's my young boy too. Like,
And who best to start
dang,
than somebody who's gonna make themselves vulnerable, who's gonna make themselves available for you to flesh this thing out and figure it out. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
scared just talking,
And
thinking about
it's
right now,
but
bro.
the thing is that um yeah, that's just and the thing about fear is like if you have fear, then it's almost like, oh, you kind of already lost. You know what I'm saying? Because that means fear is already
Mm,
in there. He's already speaking. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's just having that awareness alone is deliverance. Like understanding, like, man, he already got me. Just the fact that it's been 5 months,
yeah.
like means that like he's already there. He's already speaking to me. He's already, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that you've been through deliverance and you know how this thing works and you now you believe that this stuff is real and you understand, how the spirit realm works. Now you can say, okay, well, now I understand who I'm dealing with. Now I have to attack this. And that's what self-deliverance is about. Like
Mm,
when you know what it is, you can take authority over. You can repent and cast that thing out and handle it. When you come into us, we're exposing the things that you probably haven't really, you're not confident or you're not sure are there, or we're opening your eyes to the reality of it so that when
mm,
you leave, you know what to do from here on out. Like they're gonna keep coming to you. They're gonna keep trying to access you because you're anointed, because they're
mm.
trying to distract you, because they don't want you casting out demons. You know what I'm saying? But you having this understanding now of how things work, you have to walk in this lifestyle to where you know what to do when you recognize that something is trying to speak to you. And what you have to also
That's real.
recognize is that anything that you just neglect to handle, that thing is waiting to get to your kid.
Mm,
And so you got a whole nother motivation to handle business, to not wait, to not let this thing linger, to actually treat it as an emergency because as the father, if you allow it into your house or your bloodline, like you've allowed it, that means they have free access and permit to your family. And so that's why it's so serious
Mm,
for you to live the lifestyle and make it an emergency when you know something is there.
that's so
Because
good.
it doesn't you don't have to die for it to get to your child. Like if it's messing with you, it's speaking to your child right now. And so my thing is that it's an emergency because now I know that it's speaking to my child right now. And so I'm not going to
Mm,
take that lightly. So it's more than about this 5 months of me being afraid of of taking care of my friend. It's that for 5 months, fear has been speaking in my house. And I don't know how it's manifested in a child because a child who's 6 or 7 or whatever, it's going to manifest differently, but you can still recognize fear in a child. But rejection in the child could simply be an autoimmune disease. It could be autism. It could be any kind of sickness. It could be a fever, any kind of spirit that manifests in me or that I've allowed in my house. How it shows up in my child is going to be different because they don't have the words or the vocabulary or the mindset to express what those spirits
dang.
can express through me. And so you might not recognize it in your child, but if it's messing with you, it's definitely trying to groom your child. And
Could it
so
show up in my wife?
is yeah,
Bro,
absolutely. If it's in your house,
she's been getting sick nonstop for the past like
mm,
3 months. And then
yeah,
yesterday when she got the kidney stone, I was asking, I'm like, Lord, is this a spiritual thing? Because she
yeah.
just keep me getting sick.
That's deep because that's what our last video series is basically about. Um, the father and his authority and how what you allow into the house can impact anyone under your covering. And
Dang.
so, yes, if my kids are sick, if my kids are acting strange or in any kind of way that they need to be disciplined, I actually do take responsibility upon myself first before I wild out and start spanking somebody or thinking I need to check somebody or my wife or anybody. Like I go in my closet and I'm like, Lord, is this me? Like, is this something in me that I've
Mm.
allowed that now just has permit and access to my people? And he'll show me like most of the time it is. Most of the time, if it got access into my home, it's because I allowed it. And
Wow.
that's how the kingdom is set up. That's how the realm of spirit is set up is the father has to allow it in.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's real. And so yeah, man, that's why you gotta live the lifestyle. That's why it has to and when you live the lifestyle, it becomes so much less intimidating when someone needs your help because it's like, man, I do this every day now. Like I do this every
Mm.
day. Like every day, there's something he's trying to show me,
That's so real.
and it could be simply through my child. Like my child could manifest something, and that's his way of showing me. I could go to sleep and dream something, and he can show me in my dream. But he's always showing me something if I pay attention, and that's how I just walk
Mm.
in my sanctification process until Jesus comes. Like I'm just every day I'm looking for him to show me something that I can repent of and handle so that every time I do that, another layer comes off and there's another level of closeness and intimacy that I can have with the Father. So it's not just Ghostbusters. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about intimacy with Jesus. And if
Dang.
you're not really seeking that and you're not trying to just keep getting closer, like you leave here and you realize, man, I'm closer. There's different level of intimacy. That's because every spirit that leaves you, like you get a little closer because everyone is a divider. Everyone is a separator. Sin is a separator. Every one
Mm.
of them is a veil. You know what I'm saying? And so every time you lose one, you do see better and clearer, and you do see in the spirit better. It does allow you to hear him clearer. It does allow you closer intimacy with him. And so you need to be actively in a pursuit to just keep going from glory to glory, to keep getting more intimate with him.
That's so
But
good.
the only way to do that is just every time he shows you something that don't need to be there, handle it. You take that as a
Mm.
moment of grace and receive it and handle that, and you'll find that you'll just keep drawing closer to him and you'll keep seeing clearer. Your gifts will start to flourish more. Like all of that stuff. It happens as you walk the lifestyle. And you do it so much to where if the homie needs help, it's nothing because you probably cast the demon out yourself 50 times by now. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was shook when he said that.
Yeah.
I just wasn't expecting it.
And that's how it is.
I
Like
was like,
people rather, people are gonna come to you that will only come to you. And then
I ain't like that.
there are people that are,
I was like, go to Craig.
yeah, yeah. There are people that are God is assigning them and sending them specifically to me
Yeah.
because they might need a certain level of deliverance, or they sending them to me because they might be a complicated case for whatever reason. Like whoever is open to you taking care of them, like they're being sent to you. Like they're assigned.
Mm.
You're the guy.
And that's the nerve wracking part for me.
Mm,
Because this is a different realm.
yeah,
It's a different weight
yeah,
than me being a rapper
yeah.
or me encouraging you
But you already
or
know
praying over
you
you.
already know you're called to it. That's why you know it's
No, I
something. There's
know.
something there.
And I've been running from it.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not gonna
called
lie.
to
Now I'm
this.
thinking about it. I've
Mm,
been running from it.
mm,
I'm like, it's really intense. You know what I mean? It's an intense calling
yeah,
that I don't want to play with. So I kind of like,
yeah,
I ain't even
yeah,
jumped into it yet because I'm like,
yeah,
I don't want to play with it.
yeah. You don't
It
want to.
has to be a
It's
lifestyle.
it's like you see a coven of witches, doing their thing on the corner outside, and you just want to go and throw a firecracker in the middle of their meeting and run. It's like you got to be ready for what's coming.
That's
You know what I'm
real.
saying? And so, like, you want to get into this, you got to know that the devil's coming for you. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? This is not a game. And so, you have to make sure your life is consecrated and you are protected. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know,
I believe that.
like, the Lord has removed the veil from my eyes so that I can see the angelic encampment around my home. Like, He's given me that assurance to know that I'm protected.
Mm,
He's shown me, and people who see in the spirit have come here and said, "Whoa." And he's shown me that in California when we lived in California.
for
Like
real.
I could see the angelic realm surrounding my home and even up and down my block.
That's wild.
Like that's how much protection there was around us. And so I could be confident in walking in this thing and knowing that he was protecting me and my family, while we were giving our lives to this. But to know that um, I can still make choices that could compromise all of that. Like I could still, go back to doing some of that stuff that I was doing. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And so you do have to be when you want to get if you want to mess with this, like you do have to make a decision. Like this is I'm
no, I know.
sold out.
I ain't playing with it.
This
That's
is
why.
yeah. You don't want to play with it because you don't want to do anything that would cause that angelic guard to be like, oh, well, I guess he don't need us. Because I know that I need that protection because I know that the people that he sends us are highly anointed people who are doing some serious damage to his kingdom. And he knows that I gotta hurt this guy because he's hurting me by just helping these people. And so I know that I have a
Mm,
target on my back, but I don't have to worry because,
you
like I said, he's
protector.
shown me like just like was it Elijah's servant who was like he was like, Lord, open his eyes so he can see that there's more for us than against us. And then he opened his eyes and he sees all the chariots of fire around him. Like the Lord had a moment with
Mm,
me like that. And then he confirms it every now and then with someone to be like, man, you see all the angels around your house? Like, yeah, yeah, that's
that's wild.
you need that, like it's almost like presidential CIA type level protection.
Ooh,
Like that I have that type of
you
guard
got
around my
Secret
family.
Service?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like he
Mm,
protects me like I'm a president, you know.
wow.
It's real. And so yeah, you don't want to play with it because you don't want to jeopardize that protection because if you do, like he's gonna try to get to you however he can.
Mm,
Hmm.
dang.
So tell me about
Hallelujah.
so you're telling me about how it's impacted you in positive ways and in areas that you can still continue to fight the fight and continue to pursue the lifestyle. Tell me about its impact on just you in the function of ministry and then you in your lifestyle just as a father at home and then maybe you in your relationships with your friends that have come through deliverance as well. Like you have friends that have been delivered. Like that's that's
Yeah,
cool. Like to
it
be to
is.
actually have homies that actually are delivered and free.
Mm,
Like that's different.
yeah, it's sometimes I forget
It's your new norm.
because the new normal. So I'm
Mm,
just like, But also, I need to slow down because I just do so much. Like you said, I'm a husband, father, got 2, 3 businesses, and I got a full-time job.
Mm.
So I'm always just doing something. And that's when I feel like I lost track of. So I was delivered. I'm walking in it. Way less temptation. It's just like I be at the gym. I'm just like before being in places like that affected me. Not like I was like crazy lusting, nothing like that. It was just um I felt the temptation.
Mm.
I didn't give into it, but like I would feel it. Now it's like I don't even feel it.
Mm.
It's like a weird version of like I could look at someone and be like, it's not. I don't see it the same. My
Yeah.
lens has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because lust was a big thing for me when I was in the world. Heavy, heavy sleeping around stuff like that. So in my home life, I noticed that my kids are a lot calmer than they were before. How I deal with my wife, how I communicate with her, it's not the most perfect, obviously, because we still married.
Mm.
But I noticed things that she struggled with because she went and got delivered too. Things she struggled with. Um, she communicates differently with me,
Mm.
and a lot of things that trigger me was things that she would do. So now I notice if she might still do the same thing, I don't get triggered. So and then vice versa, things I would do that would trigger her, I'm used to her reacting a certain way,
Mm.
and she don't react the same all the time. It's not 100% change, but it's like
And that's confirmation that it's not about what that person was doing.
yeah,
It's about that trigger,
how I just
and
respond to
that
it.
trigger was actually something that is not there anymore.
Yeah, the
So,
triggers,
so a trigger is
less triggers. Yeah.
we were talking essentially about how there are just different things that might trigger you, with your spouse, and the things that she would do that would trigger you, the things that you would do that might trigger her. You notice that even though they might still do those things, you just notice its impact on you. It wasn't the same. And so I was kind of finishing up saying that that's confirmation that the trigger itself is the thing that left. The
Mm,
trigger is the spirit.
mm,
An emotional trigger is essentially a spirit that hadn't been dealt with.
mm,
And so if you go somewhere and you have the trigger removed, the the triggering activity that caused um, you to be triggered, it doesn't matter if the trigger's not there anymore. So she can continue to
mm,
still attempt to trigger you, or you can continue to do that thing that was triggering her. But if the trigger is gone, it doesn't have an impact. And so that confirms
mm,
that it's not really the activity or the person that's causing you to do that. It's the trigger that was causing you to do that all along.
mm. That makes sense.
Mm,
Like it's not. It's like she's not physically harming me, so that's
right,
different if it was physical. But
right,
it's all emotional stuff. Of like
right.
you said that, and a lot of it was just. It's really like it's me, and it could be something small like her asking me to take out the trash.
Mm,
And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get to it, babe. Let me finish up these emails, and then I hear her storming in the room, doors closing, taking it out, and then in my mind, I'm like, man, blah blah blah, what's wrong with her? Blah blah blah. I'm like, you so annoying. And I'm like, where's this coming from? But
yeah,
now,
that
yeah,
growl came back.
and I was like, wait, that's how I would respond. But now I'll just be like, I'll be laughing at way more stuff. It's like I don't let it affect me the same.
yeah,
It's like a new level of like, I'm not as offended as easily, if
mm,
that makes sense. It's
yeah,
like and I don't know where everything comes from. I just know I'm offended less,
mm,
and I respond better. I, in most instances, I forgive quicker.
amen.
For me, like I can hold a grudge.
Yeah,
I know that about me.
yeah,
So now that I'm aware of that, I try to I fight that. When I feel myself going into grudge mode, I'm like, Aaron, communicate. Tell her how you feel.
mm,
Communicate. Don't go in your office and sit there for 4 hours.
mm,
Give her the silent treatment. Stone like
mm,
communicate.
yeah,
Communicate. So
yeah,
I'm just like, I'm actually having those conversations with myself now because I'm aware
Mm.
of my temperament, and I'm aware of what I usually would do in my first 4 years of marriage. So now I'm like, okay, anytime I feel that trying to creep back in to
Good.
go back to my old way of doing things or way of thinking, I I fight that as hard as possible. But I wasn't doing that before. I felt justified in how I feel because you said this and you did
Yeah.
this. And so like until I'm just done being mad, I'll come talk to you when I'm done being mad. This is how I am. So I'm like, okay, now, even if I am upset, I just communicate clearer and better and without hurting. Because I talk for a living, so
You
I
know
can
how to
hurt you.
use your
I know I
words.
use my words,
Yeah.
so I'm like, how can I communicate how I feel without just because
Mm.
I'm the temperature. Like even if her temperature is a little high, if I come in hot as well, it's just not going well. But if I can come in with gentle and Jesus like, meek like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Then I notice all that stuff that she had going on just goes away when I control me. And
I think this is such a beautiful honesty that's happening tonight.
yeah,
It's blessing me so much, just because hearing your testimony makes clear and it confirms to me that it's made a profound impact on your life.
yeah.
But you don't just go into a deliverance session and come out perfect and be Jesus.
Oh, nah.
Like you come out with the realization that there's a war going on, and you've been given tools and equipped to fight it.
Mhm.
But then you realize that this is a journey that I'm on, and I continue this journey until Jesus comes. But you've been activated for battle.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And now you have been equipped, and so now you have to pursue this journey. But it's real to know that you went into a session, you were blessed and freed and profoundly impacted in your life, and it's been a blessing to your life and to your loved ones.
Facts.
But you still got more work to do.
Oh,
You
whole
know what I'm
bunch,
saying?
whole
So
bunch.
so don't think that just because you got delivered from some demons that there's not more, or that they're not going to try to come back. Now you're aware of the reality of this, and so you can continue to push and continue to pursue this holiness, this level of holiness and this intimacy with Jesus. It's so vital and important that you do that. And so understanding the tools that you have, at your disposal, understanding that this is a lifestyle and this is just part of your sanctification, and this is just, we do this until Jesus comes.
Mm.
Like, that's the reality of it. A
Facts.
lot of times people just think that they're going to get this and then they're going to go right back to their life and just be free. When the truth is that if you think about it, I look at it like this. When you leave us, you've just walked out of Egypt. You
Mm.
still got to part. Still got to cross the Red Sea. You still got to go through the wilderness season. Like,
Mm.
there was so much deliverance that he had to do with them, even while they after they left Egypt.
That's so
He
crazy.
had to still get Egypt out of them. So they're circling the wilderness for 40 years because he's still trying to remove the world out of them, even though he took them out of the world.
Dang.
And so that's essentially what's happening when you leave us. You're still about the enemy's still following you and pursuing you, and you're at that dead end to where it's like, Lord, I need you to part this Red Sea so I can cross
Facts.
over it. But even after they crossed it, now they're in the wilderness season. So you essentially leave us and go into your wilderness season. And so there's still a lot of layers that he has to work through, and you're going to still circle the wilderness until he works through those layers. And those layers are just more
Mm.
curses and more spirits and just the things that he didn't get to when he was in your session, because he's not the type that's just rips the band-aid off type of guy. Like, he's gentle. His loving kindness brings you to
Dang.
repentance. He's gentle in his deliverance, and so he works through the layers. And if you look through any of the stuff that he's healed you from, and even in your process now with the rejection, when you look back, you're going to see how gentle he was and how he held your hand and he walked you through it very lovingly and very gentle. and it's going to allow you to be that way
Mm.
when you help people through it. But that's why sometimes it doesn't just happen like that, you know.
And that's what I wanted. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but at the same time, you still got major, majorly profound impact.
Oh,
You know
facts.
what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
the key, is that you want to have something that is going to profoundly impact your life. Definitely be worth your Friday night.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then something that you can possibly share with the homies and actually help change their life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so the cumulative impact that Deliverance has had on you and your circle and your family,
Oh,
you know what
tremendous.
I'm saying? Like, it's tremendous. And the fact that you've given the tools that you can continue that walk, you know, for the rest of your life, and to continue to grow in your ministry, continue to grow in being the father, being the husband that you're called to be, continuing to renew and replenish and revitalize and cleanse your bloodline for the
Mm.
sake of your children. Like, there's so much, it's so potent, you know, the potential, you know, what you have access to and what's in your hands, just because you're aware of this thing, you've experienced it, so there's nobody that can tell you that it's not real, and you can just keep pursuing it,
Mm.
you know. But you have to actively and intentionally just make it a part of your lifestyle, to the point where it's in your house, and your children understand how it works, and your wife knows how to pray a spirit off of you if she needs to help you out, if you're struggling getting something out, or you know what I'm saying. Like, it needs to be a household lifestyle,
Mm.
you know. And so you work toward that, you know. But
But
you
it's
don't
on me.
go
It's
the
on
other.
me.
It's on you as the priest,
It's on me.
but you don't go the other way. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't go the other way, there's only glory to glory from here.
I know this is a reminder because I
Mm,
know when it comes to prayer and my prayer life,
mm,
it's good, but I just know that there's something blocking me. I can't explain it,
mm,
but I know there's like a deeper level of intimacy that I know God wants me to get to in prayer,
mm,
and I just haven't got there yet. And I know I'm going to
mm.
because I can see it so clearly.
Just the fact that he brought the awareness,
Oh yeah, I see it.
that's him. He's already planted the seed that, okay, this is something I'm going to work on. This is something we're aiming for. This is something that's there. And so, just the fact that you're speaking it, and you have this awareness, like, it could be any area of your life that you could have brought up, but you
Mm.
brought that up. And so clearly that's an area that he's aiming for now.
Oh
That's an
yeah.
area that he's like, all right, we're gonna deal with this, and I'm gonna show you this. Or so now you're gonna get something pop up on your YouTube feed, and you can be like, oh, is it that? Oh,
Mm.
you know what I'm
That's how it
saying?
always works.
That's how it works. He's showing you, but like I said, he's gentle, and you're gonna have to put the pieces together, because if he would have just bam, just give you the answer all the time, he'd be a genie. And
Mm.
his pursuit of you, he's still pursuing you, and his goal is to grow in intimacy. So he usually just kind of leaves a little rabbit trail type situation, because he wants you to keep coming to him. He wants you to keep coming, asking questions. He doesn't speak much, but he answers a lot. And so
Mm.
he wants you to keep coming to him. He wants you to keep going deeper. Like, so he'll give you little niblets, and that create more questions, and you might want to ask this or all that. He loves it. He loves when you come to
I
him with
believe it.
questions, and it just creates more relationship and intimacy, and it makes him less of a genie. It makes him less of Google or Chat GPT, you know, and he becomes your
Mm.
father. Like, that's what he's going for. And so that's why he doesn't always heal you like that. It's
Mm.
because he's looking for that back and forth. He's looking for you to keep coming at him, keep knocking at the door, keep asking and keep seeking. Like, he wants that because he craves intimacy with his children.
Mm. That's so good.
That's good, huh?
That's so good, bro.
Ooh, that's
I
good.
feel
Thank you,
full right
Lord.
now. I
Thank
ain't
you,
gonna
Lord.
lie.
Thank you, Lord. That's Holy Spirit speaking, man.
Oh, dang.
That's good stuff, man.
Jesus. Yeah, man. I just forever changed. That's why I say all the time.
That's powerful. Forever changed.
Yeah, I'm just forever changed,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Even if you didn't go hardcore in your pursuit, you just know that you're never the same,
Yeah.
and you'll never be that dude.
Oh, for sure.
that you described to us in the beginning. Like you're too far from that.
Can
You're
never
not
go
going
back.
back. Yeah, yeah,
Like it's not even
yeah. And
pop.
you can choose to like stalemate and stop at a certain level of your journey and just stay right there. You know what I'm saying? But just know that God is that deep. Like He's
Mm,
infinite, and so you can keep going, and you'll never run out of levels. It's always more levels, and so you can choose to stop there, and He'll still love you, and He'll be that God, and He'll manifest Himself in that dimension to you.
mm,
But as long as you keep climbing, like there's more to grow. There's more that you can get. There's more. There's more power. There's more authority. There's more spiritual ranking. There's more for your family. There's more inheritance, more blessings. It's more
mm.
just all that comes from more intimacy, and that's the goal. The goal is intimacy. The goal is you know to through that intimacy, you're being sanctified. You're becoming more like Him. You're beholding Him, so that when you see Him, like you can be mirror image. That's the goal.
Dang.
That's
Wow.
good. That's good. Yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah, I just feel so like heavy on my heart. Like
Mm.
there's more.
Yeah.
I just feel like I feel like I got enough hours in the day to get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but something Brandon always says, he always challenges me. That's why I rock with Brandon. I think he said with Smith Wigglesworth or somebody, he said, I get more done in prayer than I get done outside of it.
Yeah.
And he said to me when I first met him, I'll
Mm.
never forget it because he knows I'm like a hustler.
Mm.
And he always like, cause I love that about you, but like, yeah, I just feel like when I'm doing this, something else isn't getting done. When I'm focused on the business, my wife and kids feel neglected. When I'm spending time with God, I feel like this stuff getting neglected. So it's like I wake up, I pray, hit the gym, but then from 8 o'clock to 4:40, I gotta go to work. I'm talking to God at work and in
Mm-hmm.
the car and stuff like that, but it's not like that unadulterated alone time. I get home, so I got choices. I can work on the business, spend time with the family. So I do both. And then by the time I go to bed, I fall asleep on the couch, I do it over again. So I'm getting that 30 minutes to an hour in the morning.
Mm.
And I'm like, I know God could work with anything and he's happy I'm even doing that. But I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah. He wants more.
he want
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
he want more. I'm like,
Yeah. And and just
how
like
I
your
give you it?
wife and kids want more, your business wants more.
I'm like,
Your job wants more. Like everything and everybody wants more.
yeah.
But your decision on who you give the more to is essentially who you're determining is the head of your life. Your decision on who gets that more is the Lord. Like
Mm,
there's no second place God like that. That's when we decide like what's idolatry. It's when we make the decision to not like everybody wants more, but if I make a decision to not give him more and I give somebody else more, even if it's just I find an extra 30 minutes of the day and I give that to Instagram, like
mm,
I'm in idolatry. Like I've chosen Instagram. I've chosen to appease this guy instead of my God. And so now he's relegated to not my God. He's not Lord of my life anymore. Like I've given that to this other thing or this object or this person or this device or whatever it is that you choose over him beckoning and asking for more. Like that's when we get caught up in idolatry, and that's man, that's kind of one of the that's one of the biggest struggles that the children of Israel had. It was idolatry.
but I need more money, Lord.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Let me this. I'm like,
yeah,
you gave me this vision,
yeah.
and I'm not doing those. I'm trying to build this
We
greater
know,
cycle.
you
So I'm
know, it's
like,
deep. You
Lord.
know, it's deep, and I know we're kind of getting off into something else here. But I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's a millionaire, but he was showing me how he kept coming to God and saying, "I need money, I need money, I need money." And the truth is that the solution to your what you need is to in your mindset is money. But however, many ways God can actually solve your problem or your issue, or come with a solution. There's so many ways that he can do it that are non-monetary, that he can fix your problem and step in and do whatever he needs to do. But I'm limiting him. I'm limiting him when I just ask for this specific thing. When the truth is that you got money, you got mammon, money, mammon, and you're almost saying, "I need mammon," and you're asking him for another god.
Mm,
Essentially, you're like, "I need this other god. I need you to give me another god." When it's just like, "No, I need you." And so, how it's like, seek ye first the kingdom. And so I need God, because I know that in God everything I need is there. And so the many ways that he can solve your problem or give you what you need, even outside of finances, is so infinite, and so many ways he can work things out if you give him that opportunity, that you'll find that, man, it wasn't money that I needed. I just needed him. And I allow him to, like when we say the Lord's Prayer, we say, "Give us today our daily
mm,
bread." The TPT says, like, "I acknowledge you as the provider of my daily need."
wow.
And so understanding that he's the provider, rather than he's the bank, or rather than he's the one who's going to give you the business idea that brings you money, because our mindset is just, that's still Egypt, or that's still Babylon, where we think that the answer to what we need is financial, when the answer to what we need is just him.
Mm,
And however he chooses to handle my money situation, like if it's rent and somehow um, I get 3 cows just all of a sudden on my doorsteps, and I can give one of those cows to the homeowner, and he's like,
mm.
"Yeah, that's cool, man. That's worth way more than rent." Just however he wants to handle it, like, I'm giving him free reign to take
Okay.
care of my needs and to supply my needs, because he's my God and he's Lord. And so I make sure he knows he's that guy, and I allow him to supply my needs. I acknowledge him as that, rather than asking specifically for this one thing that is actually the only thing you ever hear him speak of as, or acknowledge as, another God, is mammon. When he says you can't serve God
Mm,
and mammon, like, he's acknowledging that, yeah, that's a God. And we always come to him like,
dang.
"Lord, I need mammon. Hook me up with some mammon." Like, how would that feel? And I'm guilty. You know what I'm saying? When I'm
Mm.
in a financial crunch, I'm like, "Yo, I'm your son. I'm doing this for you, and I need this money."
What's good, Lord?
Yeah, yeah. And so I tried to limit myself from limiting him and asking for money, when I make sure I just seek him. And you know how Jesus was always saying, like, the Father knows what you need before you even ask.
Mm,
So, don't worry about that. Like, just make sure that when you pray, make sure you don't got no beef with nobody. There's no offense, and you forgiving whoever you need to forgive, so that the Lord can hear your Father can hear your prayer. But when you pray, pray like this. And so that's when he shows them the blueprint to how to pray. And if you notice in
mm.
the Lord's Prayer, the only thing that you say, give me this, is, "Give us this day our daily bread." Like, you're just asking for today's need, today's necessity.
Mm.
And so my focus, as far as what I'm asking of him, is just whatever it is for sustenance that I need for this day. Everything else, I should just know that he's my father, and he knows exactly what it is that I need. And I should know that he's gonna supply that, because I'm seeking him first. And so that's that's
Mm.
that's the level I want to be at, and that's the lifestyle that I'm trying to live, so that I don't have to live in anxiety, and you know what I'm saying, wondering about where this
So
bill is gonna
I
get
know we get
paid.
off track. I got one more question for you. I got one more
Yeah.
question. So I guess my problem is that, from what I observed, is there's so many broke Christians. But then when I look at the world, they're using these biblical principles and they're thriving. They're not even there, like, they're doing evil things to get the money. They're
Yeah.
just businessmen, and they're shrewd, and they budget. So I'm just like, because I got saved at 26.
Mm.
So I'm used to people in the world, but then I get saved and it's like I'm around a bunch of missionaries and everyone's struggling. And
Mhm.
the other day my wife was saying, she's like, "Aaron, we know a lot of successful people, but I feel like all of our closest friends are broke. Did you
Mm.
notice that?"
Mm.
And I sat there and I was like, who do I talk to like the most? And I was like, oh yeah, they all struggling. She was like, and she was like, do you think there's something to that. And I was like, I got to bring it to the Lord.
Mm.
They say, show me your four closest friends, I'll show you your future. And I was like, I know millionaires. I don't play millionaires, but they're more like mentors.
Yeah.
They're not like people that we have over for dinner and we just
Yeah,
killing,
yeah.
kicking it. It's like, and I was like, yeah, all the people I know are just living by faith. Just
Mm.
living by faith. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with that.
Mm.
I already know. I feel like God's already told me I'm gonna be money's not gonna be an issue.
Right.
I'll be able to bless people. I'm gonna be the lender, not the
Mm.
borrower. I already know that.
Yeah.
I know that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I live in that. But it makes me think like, why are so many believers struggling financially? Like, why are
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind is when, the Bible speaks about how the children of man are much more wiser than the children of God. Like it makes it clear. I think it was Jesus himself that said it. Like the children of the world, they're wiser, But on the other hand, God is a God of process, whereas the devil is not. Like just like when you were smoking weed and rapping, and the devil was like, "Yo, if you do this, I give you this." It's that easy. He's not worried about what you do with it. He's not worried about if you lose your soul over it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the Lord, He is definitely trying to take you through your wilderness season to prepare you to make you capable of stewarding what He has for you, because what He has for you is actually greater than what the devil was offering you. You just don't realize that because you don't understand your inheritance. But what the Lord has for you and your inheritance is actually bigger than what the devil was offering you. You know what I'm saying? That's why Jesus was able to be in the wilderness and be like, "Nah, I'm good." But understanding what you have in your inheritance, you have to also understand that God is going to walk you through this process so that when you get to that promised land, you can stay there. Because remember, he when they walked in, he was like, "Hey, y'all, don't forget about me." Like those people that are leaving right now, like there's a reason they leaving. Like they're being thrown out, and the land is being taken from them because they did these things that I'm telling you not to do right now. And so he's trying to take you through a process to prepare you for those things that, like the fact that you just know that there's more for you, it's true because he's put that in your spirit so that you can know that there's more for you. You know what I'm saying? So that you can pursue him more. So that in your pursuit of him, you become more like him. He's working on your character, those fruits of the spirit. Like he's working on that so that if I give you $10 million, I know that my worry is not that you squander it. It's not that I'm taking you through this educational thing of money management or anything like that. It's more about your heart and what it can do, what money will actually do to people's heart, and what, whether it be pride or like I was talking to my millionaire friend today. He was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like when my seasons of abundance, they're actually not the seasons where I'm most close and intimate with the Lord. That's just real talk. He's just like when things are great and I'm just in abundance. He was like, those aren't my closest seasons where I spend the
same
most
here?
time in the closet. And so he's just like, I know that there's something to that. And so he's a God of process, and he wants to make sure that his child is ready for what he has for them. Because if you're not, that thing that he gives to you can be just given to the devil right away and be used against him, for the kingdom of darkness. So he has to be careful with how he blesses you and preparing you for the blessing. And so that's what's happening in your life right now is if you know that it's down the road, it's because it's not that it's a time thing, because there's no time and space in the spirit realm. And that's where your blessing is. It's about you being who you need to be for that blessing.
To sustain it.
He knows where you need to be in your character or in your soul, or he knows that the spirit of lack cannot be there when he gives you the $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows what'll happen to the money. You know what I'm saying? So like he knows the AP that he needs to see, or that blessing specifically knows the AP that it needs to land on. And so that when you become that AP, there's going to be an X on your back
Mm.
And so that blessing is literally in the realm of the spirit hovering right now.
Just waiting to drop.
It's literally waiting to see the X.
Yo, that's
And so
so
when that X
crazy.
when that X appears, it's just gonna just drop.
Yo, that's so wild to look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's the firest word picture ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
It's like
hovering.
it's like for instance, like people that astral project.
Mm-hmm.
If you was laying on the bed and you just go and astral project, if I come in your room and I roll you on your side, do you know you couldn't get back in your body? You have to go right back to that exact same position to be able to. Otherwise, you'll be trapped outside of your body.
Yo, that's crazy.
It's um, that's why the tabernacle or the temple or the ark had to be built in certain dimensions because it was a replica of the upper room in heaven, the room in heaven, the holiest of holiest in heaven, so that the angelic and God, like they can dwell there and they wouldn't know the difference.
That's crazy.
Like there has to be like a spiritual and physical replica.
Oh, the
And
holiness
so
of it.
like yeah, and so it's the same with things of the spirit. Like if you're astral projecting, like you have to have that's what like when witches do what do they call those when they have their little
The seances or whatever.
well they call them the like the uh those weird looking it's like an arc, but it's not an arc, it's called a an altar. Like when they make their little
Oh,
altars,
okay, okay,
like they
okay.
might look crazy, but the thing is that spiritually in the spirit they look like something, and it looks like a home to that particular spirit that they're trying to trap.
Mm,
And so these dimensions are very specific. As crazy as it looks to you, you might see them in the middle of the street somewhere, but these are
mm.
altars, and they have to look a certain way because in order for that spirit to land, like it has to see a certain thing, it has to recognize. And so you're an altar, but the version of your altar that needs to be completed for that blessing to land, it needs to see a certain thing in the spirit. Like it needs to look at you in the spirit and recognize the AP that was designed for this particular blessing. And so until you reach that level in your spirituality, that blessing is just waiting. But because it's in the realm of the spirit, it's not waiting on a certain. It's not. You don't have an assigned blessing that's gonna hit you in 2027. No, it's gonna hit you as soon as you become that person. As soon as it sees that thing to land on.
That answers my question. I'm always like, Lord, am I not where I want to? Is it a me? Are you withholding the blessing? Do I just need one more piece of
It
information?
might be,
One more
but
book?
it's definitely your development. It's about your development. Whereas when the devil is not one of process, like he'll just give them,
But then I
mammon
see
will
these
just
young boys, they 22, 23, they pop up, go viral, they make it M's. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so that's what it throws off my
So
theology.
yeah, I
Like, I
mean,
don't think the devil blessed them, but
it
then it's like,
no,
or
it throws
maybe.
off your theology because being a hater definitely throws off your theology. Just keeping it real with you, because
That's real.
the thing is that because Jesus actually says, man,
Is that me hating? That's hate.
yeah, because the truth, because think about this, and this is gonna change everything.
Yeah.
Um, just like when he says those people that feed the poor, but they do it so that other people can see them. Like
Or
he
that
says,
fast in
he
public.
says that. Well, he says they've already received their reward. Like that's all the blessing they're gonna ever get. Like they're not gonna get rewarded by me. Like they did that to get props. So the props that they
Mm,
got, that was their reward. So they're not getting them from me. You know what I'm saying? And
mm.
so when I had my moment where I used to hate and I used to be like, yo, Lord, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you bless this person, and this person is far from you.
I know they out
You
here
know what he says
fornicating,
though?
Lord.
But it's the same. It's the same. He's like, yo, how could you hate on them? Like, this is their only reward. They're not saved. They're not going to heaven. Like, they're gonna go to hell after this. Like they have material riches for a very short temporary time, and then that's
Mm,
it. You're about to be with me through eternity, and the seeds that you've planted here on this side, you're gonna see so much riches and reward on the other side. You're gonna be so balling. Like to have that eternity mindset and realize that when he comes and when you're living in that side of eternity forever, you're gonna be
Mm,
glad that some of the seeds you planted didn't manifest until that side. Because you're gonna be like, man, like this is balling. And so now I look at
mm.
those people and I'm like, man, like pray for their soul. Because I don't want that to be their only reward. I don't want balling on this side where you just kind of maybe for 10, 15 years balling.
That's real.
Like, and that be your only reward, and then you burn in hell. Like,
Mm,
I'm not envying them.
that's facts.
Like, why would I envy them? And so I look at that and I say, well, I'm going through my process, and that my testimony will be like I went through this process, and this is what the Lord
But
did.
God, I already know.
Exactly. So I'm just waiting on my but God, but
Yeah.
I'm going through this process, and in this process though, I'm in intimacy with him, and I'm growing in intimacy with him, with the King of Kings, with the creator of the universe. Like how dope is that?
Mm,
That's doper than money.
that's real.
You know what I'm saying? But when I get to where I need to get and he couples that with the dough, that's gonna be pretty dope too. And I believe that I'm in my season. I believe that that's
Yeah.
that's coming. That's upon us. I believe that I've come to that place where my blessing is starting to look and see my back, and that X is forming. So I believe that you're
Mm,
gonna see my testimony. I believe that that's going to be something you're going to actually be a witness to yourself, and it's going to bless you to see, like, man, Craig was right about that process thing, and that this is how the Lord does it.
mm,
And that'll be my testimony, and then I can motivate others to move in that direction.
to really
But
put God first, not
yeah,
just
yeah,
in
but
their bio.
that's what I see when like I said, I got a lot of friends, man, that have money, and that
Same.
are living the lifestyle that I believe that I deserve as a son, or just as a general in God's army. Like I feel like I deserve a certain level, you know what I'm saying, of
Yeah.
lifestyle. But I know that what he has for me is probably on an even greater level than what I feel like I deserve. And so
Mm,
maybe I'm not ready for that.
for what he actually has for you.
Yeah. And so I trust
Mm.
him that when I'm ready for that, then he'll bless me with that. And I'd rather have that.
So in the meantime, you just stay in his presence.
In the meantime, like I, I feel like that's the process, is to realize the value of that, of what I have. Like the Levites, they didn't get no land. He was like, I'm y'all's portion. Everybody else is
Mm,
gonna get a portion of land. All the tribes are gonna get land, but you guys are gonna get me. And like I need to be the Levite. I need to be like, yo, I got the one. I got the better deal.
so real. You've
I
heard
got the deal.
you've heard Brandon's testimony. He told you, right?
No.
With Justin Bieber and all that.
Oh, yeah, I know that I
That's
know part of his testimony because of that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, he said his first week with Justin Bieber, he ended up at the Grammys, and he said God told him, "I sent you here this fast so you could see this thing that you would have been spending your whole life chasing to get here. You want what they have, but you don't realize that what you have is more valuable than all this."
Yeah, yeah. I believe that he sent me in the entertainment industry for that reason. I believe that my work in that field was for me to see that there was something that I had that they didn't, just like there was something that they had that I didn't. But I got to
Mm.
see that what I had was more valuable because what I had came with peace. And at the end of the
And that's
day, that's what
priceless.
we're all pursuing.
Facts.
We think that money can give us that, and then we find out that it can't. And so I believe he took me there to show me that as well.
That same
And
thing.
so that's my testimony too. And I do value him greater than the dollar and greater than anything that I could attain or amass. And I think that my value for him is what's going to allow him to bless me with the things, with the material things, because as long as I don't value those things over him, he should be able to trust me with that,
Mm.
because he wants you to shine for sure. Like he doesn't want your wife to be like, yo, why is every Christian broke? He don't want people to
My
see that,
friends
but
be asking me that too. I'm like, bruh,
it's because we're not all pursuing intimacy with him. We just all waiting on him to come and save us and take us to heaven. We're not
that's real.
pursuing him. We're not spending time. We're not pursuing intimacy. We're not living a lifestyle of deliverance. Like
Mm.
I would believe that the majority of believers are not believers. They're just professed Christians. But are
Like
we really, do we really know Jesus? Have we really encountered him? Have we received deliverance? Have we come into the reality of what he has in our for our inheritance? Like, I don't think the majority of us do. And so I believe that we're all in this process, but we're not moving fast enough. And so it's a lot of us broke because we still circling the wilderness, and he's a
that's
God of
real.
process, and that's how he does it.
I'm not gonna take it out this wilderness until
He's not. He won't. He'll
dang,
keep you safe and healthy. He'll do whatever you gotta do. Like the children of
for you to
Israel,
get by.
their clothes was intact and their shoes were still good. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't gonna let them cross over into that promise.
Dang. Wow.
It's real, man.
I
It's
got a lot of
real.
I got a lot of praying to do.
It's real, man. I'm glad we got to talk. I'm
For
glad
sure,
that
man.
this is actually our first time sitting down and catching up
Oh yeah, that's probably what it was
since
like 4 hours long.
deliverance. Since deliverance, this is our first time sitting down and
Like three.
talking. We've maybe crossed paths maybe 2 or 3 times. I've
Yeah.
seen them, but we haven't. So we just sat down and just started talking.
Yeah.
We didn't chat or chop it up before this conversation. Like, this is our catch up, and so um, I'm glad that we got to have these conversations. I hope that I get to have more conversations like these with people that have come through, because I know that there's still more that I can offer besides just put my hand on your forehead and yelling at a demon. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there's there's
Facts.
there's more, because there's wisdom, and there's experience that I can share. And I know that I can be of benefit just on the level of just discipleship and mentorship, and really help people through their journey because of what he's done for me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So as much as I want people to see a testimony and be like, oh, deliverance is like, oh, wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be able to just have this conversation and to speak more than just about your amazing, turnaround, but to speak to the reality, of where you are today, and what you need to do or where you're headed. And, to have been able to not just be blessed by your presence and you share your testimony, but to be able to allow Holy Spirit to use me to speak into you again.
Mm.
I'm honored, and I'm grateful for this time. And I hope that it was beneficial enough for you just on camera that you would know that, yo, I'm here for you.
No, that's real.
To know that I can still be a blessing to you and of service to you, even outside of deliverance, just on a relationship tip and on a brother tip.
That's real.
You call me, text me, whatever you need to holler at me. Like, he can speak. He can speak through me. If I don't know the answer, I could pray.
That's
You
real.
know what I'm saying? But just know that I'm here for you, and I'm a vessel, and I'm open to walking with you. You know what I'm
That's so
saying? I
real.
got your back.
You 10 minutes from my crib. That's a sign right there. I
Yeah,
did
and
not
then I'm
think you.
close to
I
you.
didn't think you was that close. My wife been telling me for like 3 months now, like, Aaron, we need to have more for dinner, Aaron. Cause God was telling us like we don't hang out with couples and people as much as we should, cause we got these 3 young kids.
Fellowship. Yeah.
So God was telling us like, well, you need to invite people over
Mm.
because to bring our kids to someone's house, then we gonna stay up late talking. We know how we are. 12 o'clock, they getting restless. They tearing up somebody's house. But if we're at our house, we
Mm.
could put them to bed at 7:30, and we could stay up as long as we need to stay up.
Hey, I'm waiting, because to delay is disobedience. So
Should
don't wait too long to invite
we could
us.
do it next week.
Invite us over, bro.
We could do it next week.
Yeah, yeah. Just make sure you invite us
She
over.
been on my head top about it too.
Yeah, yeah, man. Just obey, man. That's Holy Spirit speaking, because we definitely, we're new in town, so a lot of relationships we've developed is from our time spending long nights with people and ministering to people.
Yeah,
We've come to have relationship with them, even if we're just through discipleship, or just we just connect with them and we end up making a friend.
that's
You know
real.
what I'm saying? So, like me and Israel, we chop it up all the time. He's coming tomorrow to record a podcast.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, we be doing prayer marathons, and in the closet for hours praying. And
for real.
yeah, man, we did a little marathon couple weeks ago, 10 hours
Oh, y'all prayed
in
for
my
10 hours?
closet in there, and he came. He came.
His wife let him out the house for 10 hours? Oh, he brought the
No, he
youngest one?
came by himself. He came by
Really?
himself. Came and he was prophesying, and it was fire. It was four of us in the closet, just praying and weeping and just in the glory. You know what I'm saying? But
Dang.
the other two dudes were also people that I had relationship through Deliverance, because I don't have like family and friends out here. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So like a lot of my relationships have come through just people that he sent us, people that have just developed a trust and a love for us because of what we've been able to
that's so
minister to
real.
them. But yeah, man, we're grateful for the relationships that and the bonds that we form with people,
Praise
through
God,
this.
bro.
It's powerful, and it's how we've, like I said, made some friends.
Mm, that's so far. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
man.
gonna we gonna
So
we gonna do it next week.
I hope your wife can cook.
No, she can cook. Oh, Lord knows I can't, so we wouldn't
Yeah,
be married. I ain't gonna
yeah.
lie. We doing Zaxby's every night.
No, Zaxby's. Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate you having me, man.
No, for sure. And clearly we can rap about, more than just one topic, because that's clearly what just happened tonight. So
Yeah.
definitely got to have you back, speak on some other things. If you want to, I'd like you to share, wherever they can find you as far as your ministries, whether it be Instagram or your YouTube or whatever your ministry is. Like, if you can share that with them, if there's anything that needs to be spelled out, for
Oh,
the
okay.
podcast audience that doesn't see the video,
Okay.
if you could share that, and then, just however you want to end it, however you want to bless us. I don't know why I envisioned you dropping a bar, like freestyle, like a verse, and just ending off with that. Like, I just saw that today when I
Ended
was
with a
thinking
rap.
about it, but I'm passing the mic to you to take us out. But like I said, take us out with, just your info, so people can track you down. Maybe somebody might want you to come speak or whatever.
Okay.
But then, like I said, just end it with however you want to close out.
All right, bet. So on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you can try to find me is I am underscore Aaron Patterson, AARONPATTERSON. And also, if you want to check out the merch and more of the ministry stuff, we have Break the Cycle gear. That's on everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Break the Cycle gear. So you can check us out on there as well. So we got the merch, we got testimonials, we got daily motivation. Uh, we all out here trying to be better than what our parents taught us.
Mm.
They did the best they could, but we all got these cycles in our minds that are stopping us from growing and being who God created us to be. So we just trying to create a community of people that recognize where they fall short, and they're not afraid to attack those things that run in their generational bloodline. Attack it with everything and break it, so there's kids so their kids can live in abundance and get
Yeah,
free. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, man. Last time I saw you, man, you just got up on the mic and just started freestyling, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was it was fire, like Holy Ghost fire. Like, I knew that the Lord was using you.
I felt it in my bones.
Yeah, it was powerful, man. I was like, this guy, like whatever people got to say about different genres of music, like, God is in it. And so
Mm.
I was blessed. I was blessed by it, and yeah, man, you got the gift, and so you're on all the platforms as far as musically as well,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'll be forgetting about the music
He's
part.
forgot he was a rapper.
And I'm a rapper.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's
he said
Aaron
he's
Patterson.
nice.
Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you could go stream music. Title, maybe y'all do that. Google, Apple Play. I don't know what they got these days. It's just my government name, Aaron Patterson. I used to be Black Aristotle when I was in the world.
He was deep. Black
Cause my name
hairstyle.
start with A. I'm kind of deep on black. Oh, call me Black Aristotle. So that was my name. I had to get rid of that when I got saved, but yeah, that's a little rap name. So don't look that up. Actually, you can see the growth. Go ahead. You want to look it up online?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can see the growth of what God brought me, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we appreciate you, man. We bless you. We thank you. Um, I hope you guys were blessed. I hope that you got some bars throughout. I feel like there's so many pivotal and powerful moments that we had in this conversation. I'm not even sure how I can just break it all up into just little snippets of stuff, man. So much.
You gonna have some work to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire in this one, man. Um, so I'm excited for you guys to receive this and to just be blessed by it, you know. So God bless you and peace and blessings. And until the next one, shalom.
Shalom.